Hello, my front-end friends. Things look a little bit janky. Oh no, it looks super janky. Let me just see. I was worried this was going to happen. Um, I'm curious how this, I don't know if I can solve this. I've run into technical difficulties and I'm hoping that I'm able to fix them. The audio, I think, is working. Let me know if you can hear me at least, and if the audio sounds okay. I know last time I had some volume issues, and I found out why. So if we need the volume up higher, I can definitely do that. I have a feeling anyone watching on Twitch right now will be super janky. Anyone on YouTube, let me know how the video looks. Last time I didn't get onto Twitch because the connection, okay, I'm using Riverside for other stuff and they do live streaming, or you can live stream through them. And so I set it up to do YouTube and Twitch, no problem. You can multi-stream, but by default, Twitch is off for some reason. So this time I made sure both of them are on, but then after making the thing in Riverside, I had a connection issue with YouTube, and the connection issue with YouTube meant it's going to Twitch, but then I'm also restreaming it through, I'm basically sending it out twice now. I had to connect independently to YouTube, and I was worried about the bitrate, but it's weird because the bitrate coming into Twitch is actually really good, but I can see the preview is super janky for some reason, and I don't know why, and I had this issue once before, so I might have to stop using Twitch. Just the video, some people saying the video is janky and other people saying it's just lag. So anyone who is on Twitch, if you go over to YouTube instead, the jankiness should go away, but we're going to be writing code. So I'm just going to, I don't think the jankiness will stand out too much at that point, but I do apologize. These technical difficulties will get resolved slowly but surely as I do more streams. I would actually close down a few things and get things going again, but I'd be concerned that it would just kill the stream and I wouldn't be able to reconnect. Maybe Twitch would be okay. I'm wondering. Yeah, the video is better on YouTube. That's good to know. So, yeah, props. The idea was to multi-stream, but the thing I'm using to multi-stream had an issue with one of the connections. But it's not even that. My bitrate is super good. The issue seems to be on the thing I was using. I'm curious. I'm going to try something. The Twitch stream might break, but we're going to try anyway and see if this improves things or not. So YouTube fellows, you'll all be completely fine. But if you're on Twitch, it might just completely die. Maybe it'll reconnect. I don't know. We're about to find out though. Let's see what this does. I'm very curious about how what this does. I think I can just reconnect on Twitch, but I'm curious if I am using headphones. That's all good. No, it's still super janky. Let's close that down. I can close that. Because I don't have another way to get this onto Twitch. Join session. It's still in progress apparently, so we'll see what happens. No, it's still janky. It's really annoying. I wonder if I can change. No, that's not going to help. Voice, I don't know. Did that help? No, that didn't help. I can't solve this. Okay, we're just going to jump into it and stop with last thing that I'm going to try, and it still didn't work. Okay, I'm just going to live with what it is. Okay. Hopefully I'm still back. I think I'm still on Twitch. I don't think it killed anything, but it's still gonna be really janky. So I do apologize. Oh, what's this saying now? It's saying I'm live somewhere else too, but I don't know how I can be alive in. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. One of these days I'll get this figured out. This is why I record videos and edit them and don't do live streams, I guess. There was another service that I was going to try, but then I decided to stick with this. But anyway, okay, let's go to this. We'll do this, so we're looking at a screen instead of my janky face, and we'll just get into it. I think there was a few questions that came up earlier. So if you have any questions about whatever, just let me know. I'm very unprepared for this stream, so I don't mind jumping in and doing other stuff. I was planning to have some sort of design ready to go, and I just never had time this week. So basically, this is the site. It is linked in the description. I don't know. I'll put it in the chat for anyone who wants it. I was working on it last time I did a live stream where I made the dark mode and we created the light and dark modes. And okay, it's fine, but I don't really like the layout, especially the homepage. So I just want to work on that and improve it. My main issue is like, this is kind of less important than actually seeing these things here. So this is what I want to put the focus on. So I'm thinking of just doing like some sort of 2-column layout. I don't know what I'm going to do on mobile. And we're going to figure that out as it goes. That's the plan right now. And I don't come in here often enough to remember how it's done. And I based it originally on a template to make it really fast. I'm guessing it would just be in layouts. I don't need my content. That's blog post. I guess here we don't have a layout set up. That's fine. So I have my sign up form. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so we have the main. The main has some content, the sign up form, and then the section here which has all of the articles that are there. Nothing too complicated. Xerox, thank you so much for the sub on Twitch. I appreciate that. Oh, Stony, there's the question. Yeah. Have I used the inert attribute? After watching the video with Salma, I dove in and finally did it right. Struggled a lot with off-screen and invisible elements gaining focus. Stumbled upon inert, which blocks it and all its children from gaining tab focus. All I need to do now is toggle the attribute when opening or closing a menu. It's amazing. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So you're not, because like if something's display none, you wouldn't have to worry about that, but you're doing other ways of hiding your menu, I guess. And then when you make it inert, and then when it's something that should be accessible, that's a good one. I should dive into inert. I haven't done very much with it. People asking about my theme. The theme I am using, let's find out. I always forget the name of this one. Settings, looking up settings in your settings is a good one. Here we go. One Dark Pro Night, VAR Night. It's a big long one, is what I'm currently using. I was already using a version of One Dark. I just wanted something that was a bit higher contrast. So it's a bit darker of a background right there. I'll put that in the chat actually. Theme. I was hoping I could just copy paste. One Dark Pro VAR Night. There we go. Pixels, M's, or Rems for media query. I originally, or for a long time, I would say M. These days, I would say just to use pixels. It's probably, there are times where you might want to not, but they're effectively the same thing anyway, because M and Rem are just looking at the font size coming from the browser too. So the difference would be if the user changes their system preferences, or their browser preferences, I should say, or system preferences, I guess, that it could potentially impact the media queries, whereas if you use pixels, a pixel's a pixel's. A pixel is a pixel is a pixel. Which isn't actually a screen pixel, so that's fun. Right? So I'm also going to take, I don't remember what font I'm using. I am using a font for this. It's not bad, but if anybody has font suggestions, I might be open to them as well. So my main issue right now, I'm wondering, let's try this, where I'm going to do a div here. Ugh. Nope. I have to fix my autocomplete. Div, close div there. Oh, and great. Oh, there, that worked. Okay. I thought prettier wasn't working either. And let's do a class of oh, the sign up form should probably be in that too. I'm going to put the sign up form in there for now, and that might actually get moved around, or I might do something with that. I want to add some like fun quirkiness to this as well. And I don't know, I have like the name here and here. Do I need it in both places? I don't really need this here, but like if you're in, I don't know, we'll figure those things out as we go. This is really like designing in the browser. Let's just call it, it's not really an aside because it's part of the main content. That's my main. Naming things is hard. Okay, I'm just not going to name it for now. I do this a lot where I don't worry about it too much when I'm working on projects like this, and then I end up regretting it. Where when I'm designing in the browser, I just do stuff like main div first of type instead of having to worry about things, and then that just comes to bite me because I end up moving stuff around. So let's just see background if this is selecting what I want. Nope. Oh, wait. That should main div first of type. Oh, I'm on the live site. I'm like, why isn't that working? I wasn't in my dev server. Nice. It did work. Okay, that makes more sense. I see. B1 I just started, so you didn't miss anything. Oh, it uses page on my website. Yeah, I know I do. I don't think you missed any of the streams. Alexander, yes, I'm using Astro for this one. Steal OpenAI sauce since they're stealing it from everyone else. Oh, what is an dot? Okay, I thought people were asking if I was using Astro, but they're asking what is a dot Astro. Astro.build is where you'd get the documentation for it and everything about it. It's sort of a static site generator, but not really a static site generator. I mean, it still is. It builds sites statically by default, but it's become a lot more. It's kind of cool. Well, why do websites always do this? Where they have like really fun websites and then they become more like generic. I like their old design better. It looks this area is sort of the same, but basically it's you build static sites, but you can have JavaScript, but it'll turn your JavaScript into static stuff if it can. But you can use React, you can use Vue, you can use Svelte, whatever you want. Bring your framework of choice. You can even have multiple if you wanted to. Yeah, we'll see some of the benefits of it. I do have videos where I build things with it. It's a really cool project, though. I like it a lot. So my first of type, and actually that means my main needs a grid. So we're gonna say main display grid, which it might already be, but we'll do a grid. I don't think it is. Grid. Template columns, 400 pixels, 1FR for now, just to see what that gives us. This means I do have a width on here. I think the fun body, I did do my grid here. No, I didn't. Main has my grid. It doesn't have a grid. It has the width here. So I did 720. So I should turn this into a variable. Where, let's just say it's var. Nah, I'll just leave it like this for now. 1200 pixels. Again, things you regret later on. And then I'll worry about the breakpoint and other stuff later. Okay, 1 second. Let's keep all of this styling together because it's going to be very reliant on the stuff I'm doing. Because that media query is going to play into things. So when this was so big, this is going to break things. Okay, one of the things you can do with, I'm being really lazy with this site. I'm wondering, okay, 1 sec. I had a layout. Article? Nope. Blog, right? Blog post is a layout that has, okay, we're going to call this one class equals article layout. And then this one, so that was 720, right? So this is where having a variable would be good. So I'm going to say var main width, main max width. Which will have a fallback if it doesn't exist of 1200 pixels. And then my main, that is my article layout, main.article layout, will have a main max width of 720 pixels. So that should be, here we get the wide layout coming here, but if I go into an article, it should still be the narrow one, which it is. Perfect. Yeah, anyone who's on Twitch, if you're watching, the frame rate is super low. If you switch over to YouTube, you'll get a less janky stream. I apologize. PetriDev77, if specializing in CSS is a waste of life, then you're definitely in the wrong stream. Because not only will I disagree with you, but that's what I've done, and I definitely don't think I've wasted my life. So yeah, trolls are welcome though if you want to hang out. Okay, so let's go. So that's better. And then this is where a style, no, the style query wouldn't work here. I was thinking that could be a cool use case of a style query, because my main now, this is where making decisions beforehand always helps. When you're trying to design in the browser, I find you start running in, it's the one issue I have with designing in the browser is I start running into like, oh, but this, but this, but this. Whereas if I had everything planned ahead of time, you can sort of plan good decisions before you put it into code. Variable names, I go with super long variable names. This is a short variable name for me. I use very long custom property names because I want to be very obvious what they're doing. Even here where I'm doing main.article layout, like a lot of people will say do this. I know I'm not going to run into any specificity issues, so it's really not an issue, and it just makes it more clear for me how I'm, like, I find this self-documents itself a little bit better. So that's why I'm doing that. I could, because I'm using Astro and I have the blog post here, I could also just do a, like, it has scope styling. So I could say the main here and then just set it and I'd be fine. But I find if I do things like that, I don't, in Astro, I like doing scope styles for my components. For layouts, I prefer less. And I just realized there might be a problem here. Oh no, okay, this is weird, but it's fine. I was worried that the layout had two mains, but it's okay, we don't, so we're fine. Just seeing. Oh, I could pin it. Can you pin messages? Quality is better in YouTube. Sorry for a janky stream. Can I pin that? Yes, I can. There we go. Customize until I end the stream. That will be pinned. Perfect. Thank you for the idea, Stony. I think that is now pinned. It is. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, anybody who is here on Twitch, I do apologize, but if you go to YouTube and just look my name up, you'll find me there. So my problem now is if I do this approach, okay, we can do this, but we're just going to lean into this since I'm already here and we're already doing this. Let's come down to here, display grid template columns. This is one of my biggest arguments against people who like ordering properties based on their like alphabetically. That's like a common thing, and it drives me nuts because then my display grid and my grid template stuff will not be in the same place, and that just bothers me. I like organizing it like this. I'll put extra white space in like this. So like here's my box model stuff, here's my display stuff, here's positioning. I already group it that way mentally, but then I'll add white space to make it even more obvious what's going on. So my grid template columns will be so we'll go with var main grid columns, comma, this is going to get changed after I'm doing desktop first for now, which I'm going to switch out, but we'll do this. That looks okay. We'll see, we'll fix that in a second. And then my article layout, my main grid columns will just be a 1FR. So that should be, if I come here, I have a single grid, and then if I come back to here, I have my two like that, because that's using this is my default. This is definitely not how I would approach a normal project, just so you know, but it's a fun way to do stuff. So I'm going to keep on doing this for this project. That's okay. Then I probably should have put the class on the home page and not on the other one for the article layout, but it doesn't really matter. Or I could have had both, but again, it doesn't really matter too much. If I did other pages on here, which I don't plan on doing, they would probably use this layout anyway. That's how I'm going to figure it. So now let's look at my layout here. Oh, that's, sorry, I'm used to being scoped. Let's look here. So I just have this div. I'm going to give this one a class. Just, it's going to get messy if not. We're going to do a small refactoring. Home layout instead. This is going to make my life easier. I don't know what happened. Let's go find my main again. This, I can leave that like that ish. Anyway, let's say main home layout. And then the main home layout, what's nesting support at? I'm gonna run some polls here. Do I use nesting? I don't know how to do a poll. Is it this? Start a poll. Should I use nesting? I don't have like local. I don't know how to start a poll on Twitch. You can just say in Twitch whether I should use nesting or not. I don't think I've used any yet in this project. I could be wrong. I don't think I did though. Basically because I want browser, I want to make, oh, I did use a little bit here with media queries. Interesting. So I have started using them, but very minimally. So I'll let people decide. So far, yes is winning by a large margin. But if anybody is still here on Twitch, you can just vote what you think. That's my body. Okay. Okay. Home layout. I want H1 would grid. I might not need that home layout now that I think about it. Grid, column, 1/-1. That, we're already sort of where I want to be. I want to where column gap of, I don't know, probably 2 rem, 3 rem. Again, I'm doing desktop first, but we'll figure that out. This text is way too long now, probably, for how I want to do this. Like the layout is getting very crowded, so I might have to make some changes to this. Yeah, because this is probably even something like that might be better, but I find this copy is way too long now. And then let's just see, people, yeah, nesting is still winning. Most developer moved. So the thing about most developers moving to Tailwind isn't true. Based on the stats I've seen, lots of people are using it, but it gets more attention than, and it depends where you're working and what environments you're working in. Most React developers have, just because the way CSS works in React, it makes sense in a way, because it wasn't handled the same way in other environments. You know, it's fine if it's what you need it for and it solves a problem for you, then I guess you can use it. I don't like it, but that's just me. I find they're now, actually I just put out if you go to my other channel, which I'll put this link in the description, because I just put this out as a chat with Miriam Susan, where we were talking and I asked her near the end what she thought about Tailwind and the prevalent, or I liked what she said of like, or she mentioned is like, one of the things that seems to be coming up is they're now solving problems, the same problems that CSS solved. And like there's a bit of a circular thing going on with it now, but yeah. It does appear that I can use nesting. So I'm going to end the poll because that was pretty strong with 81% saying yes. So, okay, we're going to use nesting. This is kind of convenient then to have the home layout here, because then I can just do that. And then I can just say div first of type is position. Whoops. Uh-oh. Autocomplete is now getting in my way. Position sticky. And we'll say top of. I'm taking screenshots now for some reason. Top of. Let's just see if that's going to look weird or not. Or is it not going to stick? Because we're in a grid, I can also say align self of start. Now it sticks, but it doesn't stick for very long just because I don't have a lot of stuff there. I'm actually wondering, okay, let's go look at the copy here of what I have. People often tell me that the pace, I think I can take this paragraph out probably. Every week I post a quick introduction, and I could probably take this paragraph out just to have a short explainer here that sticks. That's okay for me, I guess. It's not great. We'll probably play around with that a little bit, and I am going to give this a class now. What did I'll just call it intro. It's a bad name, but the scale of this site allows me to do this and not be too forward thinking, because the site's never going to get much bigger than it is right now. Let's just come here and say intro. Padding 1 rem background. I don't remember what variables I created here. I have all my neutrals. I do have my surface levels. Okay, that's what we did last time. So I had a feeling, but I didn't remember what I created. Var surface 2. Border radius 0.5 rem. Okay, and then, oh, we broke my subscribe button because it's too narrow. Okay, we'll fix that after. That's okay. And then I think if I'm using nesting, I can say everything that's a direct child will get a margin of 0. What is this space coming from? I must have put a margin on that. This is why you don't give components margin. You let the layout create the margin or the spacing. Sign up, margin block. I mean, it's not completely true, but partially why. So that would be my sign up. Oh, that's on my sign up too. Sign up form. Margin block I can take off. The reason I knew that it was within my sign up form file and not in my global CSS is because when I looked at it, the selector, I saw that it was coming with the Astro data attribute on there. So that just right away means it's coming from the component file and not from the global CSS. Can we use grid for React Swiper? I don't see why not. I should move. You should move to next to body. On your daily basis programming, do you use these layout setup also? I wouldn't do it exactly like I'm doing right now. I'd have more generic things generally speaking when I can. Like right now I'm being very specific. I don't mind this, but I probably wouldn't do it on my main. I'd probably have a class for it, and then I would have ways of modifying it for different areas. I see a question that I missed earlier from David. Why don't I like Tailwind? It doesn't solve a problem for me. Like, what it's doing doesn't solve the problems I have with CSS, and I just find it annoying to work with, and I enjoy authoring CSS this way. So yeah, it just I find it encourages an over componentization of things is my main issue with it. Because I don't think everything needs to be a component. Right? You can have a component with stuff in there. Anyway, that's my main complaint. Okay, I don't mind this, but the spacing here is terrible. So we'll figure that out in a little bit too. Tighten, I often do Figma first, or at least have a plan of action first. I don't often design in the browser. I find sometimes you can get fun designing in the browser, but it can become very annoying as well at times. I'm wondering if I should use my Surface 3. I don't know if my contrast ratio is high enough there though, if I do that. And I'm not getting any. I hate when Chrome doesn't give me a contrast. It shows me the color, it shows the background, and it doesn't tell me the contrast. I don't get why it doesn't do it sometimes, and it does it other times. Oh, it's because of the link in there. Whenever you have an inline element that's different, it just stops it from working. So in my dev tools, I can delete the link, and then I can check, and now, oh no, it's still not doing it. I thought that would have... Do I not have a paragraph in there? That's okay, but... that might also be why. Anyway, doesn't really matter. I'll check my contrast ratios in a bit. Oh, I don't want that. It did that. That's fine. Anyway, I wanted this to now. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. That was... I can just do a display. So like here normally, if I was doing display grid, gap, 1rem, this, I'd probably create a class for that instead to do... Whoa. What? That's weird. Potentially know why. I said that I didn't have a paragraph in here. Let's try fixing that. My autocomplete is working in... So if I give that a paragraph and then I put grid on here, what happens? I'm not sure what's happening to that subscribe button, but some of this behavior makes a bit more sense. And whoops, the period should be inside the paragraph. Oh, that was interesting. Okay, I can explain. I still don't know why I'm getting that big of a space. I must have a margin on something that's popping up. But if this period, when it was on its own over here, because we have display grid and I have a gap, it's adding the gap around the period. So that was part of the problem there. How can you add space between elements and a scroll bar? I just did. Do I have my CodePen still open? No, I don't. 1 second. I have something. I don't know if this is what you mean. I was just working on this morning. Let's just go full screen on you. I thought I had it all set up. I saved it without it. That's okay. Grid auto flow is column, and the grid column size is 40%, and an overflow. So you can get like the side scrolling. And then if you just want space at the ends, I'm not sure, or like here, the space with my scroll bar, I'm just getting it through the padding on the bottom. If I remove the padding, then it touches. If I add padding to the parent, it gives me the space. So the same here on like the left, all the way on the right side. If I did padding inline end of 2rem, then it gives me the 2rem of space right there. So just using padding on the parent to push things around. Hopefully that's what you were asking about. I'll leave that open just in case it wasn't. Okay. This isn't quite what I was hoping it would be when I was envisioning it, but let's fix a few things here. Sign up form. So my button was never changed. Let's go look at my buttons. They must be here, button. Let's just do a display inline flex. Flex. Let's go back to the sign up form for a second. I didn't do a lot here. There's the button. Is this causing a problem? Oh, it is. The form kit spinner is getting broken. Because why is the form kit spinner? Let's go take a look. This is the joy of using, I don't really need that form kit spinner. I think I could probably delete it and not cause any problems. But if my button becomes a flex item, this is suddenly getting space. Oh, whoops. My div first of type. I made a bobo there. That was first of, if you're going to do this, use a direct sibling. You don't want to select every first of type. You want to only select the one specific one you are after. The position sticky was causing the issues there. B1, it looks like the Twitch chat is just very, very quiet right now. This isn't quite what I envisioned it. Yeah, we'll continue to improve on it. I know a few things I'm going to do, but I might just, at this point, I'm not sure I'm going to be pushing this. Anyway, we'll see what happens. How long have I been, how many years have I been into CSS? It's been at least a decade that I've been teaching it. So that gives you an idea. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do, my padding here is going to get clamped. I'm very tempted to, it sucks bringing it in now. I'm just going to use a clamp. I should have used the some variable spacing, like clamp spacing variables from the beginning. One rem, we'll do like a 5 viewport inline and 2 rem just to see what that gives us. I don't want that on all sides either. Wait, why did I have padding of 1 rem on all sides? Oh, that's on my main. Whoops, I'm thinking my body. No, I'm thinking my main. This is the number I want to change. Clamp. And even here, like normally this, I'd have this as a variable as well. We could do that. 100% minus, I can do like padding of clamp. 3 rem, no, 1 rem, comma, 5 viewport inline, comma, 3 rem. Let's just see what that looks like. And then this would be my var padding. So I want that to be bigger. Let's try 10. Is that 3? Oh, because this number get padding, this would be a calc times 2 because of how this works. Yes. So yeah, 3 rem. Okay, that's already better. I just wanted it further off the side of the screen. It was getting a little bit too squished. And it's too stuck to the top as well. I sort of like this spacing. I'm not sure if I have a good way to line that up though. And then at one point we will have to break that, but I'm not going to worry about that yet because the desktop is always the harder thing to get right anyway. when do you use an article? Do you use it for the post listing here, for the single page of the post, and also same question if we are taking about products and talking about products instead. So definitely these types of things should be articles from everything I understand about articles. I've heard a good argument. I'm currently, I think, using article on this page. Let's go find out. I might have taken it out. And it was, I am. So, okay, let's talk about it now. On my blog post, I have my main and then I have my article. And then my article is oh, I have an aside at the end too. So the aside from the article. So the question is, the aside probably could go outside of the main because it's adjacent to the main content. And I don't really need an article here. If you have multiple articles on a page, it makes sense to do that. If your one page is just, this is the content of that page, which I just broke that because of the way I'm creating my layout. So I probably need to keep this in there and have to figure out if that works. I think you can put that. I think you can still do that, right? But yeah, it was Hayden Pickering who talked about that in his, he has an article talking about semantic HTML elements. He did several of them, and the article one was saying on an individual article page, if it's the only thing on the page, it's a little bit redundant to have it in an article. I would also say it probably doesn't matter as much. Do it if you want reader mode. Does reader mode only grab from article? That's a question I don't have an answer to because I don't know, and would be definitely one that's worth knowing. VI is for viewport inline. So it'd be effectively the same thing as VW, but it's the logical property. And for all properties now, I'm trying to get into the habit of using the logical version of them. How often am I using AI for development, if at all? Very rarely. I use it sometimes, like if I have or say like I had these, or I have this color and I want a whole bunch of variations of it, I'll just ask it to do like create 10 of them, keeping the values the same, but changing the hue or the lightness by 10% each or something. And I'll give it 10, you know, this is just accent, but I could give it like 10 different colors, one off, and then it does all of it at once and just saves you some time. I do mostly CSS most of the time, and most of the things I've tried doing with it is not very good at. So it depends a little bit there. But yeah, I find for some stuff I find it's a tool that can help with productivity if you know the subject already, because you can vet the information it's giving you. As soon as you're using it for things that you're not as good at, it's always harder to know how good what it's doing is and if it's even what you've asked it to do. Or to find mistakes or foot guns and other stuff, because it's good at doing some stuff right and throwing in random things that can cause problems. Using the article for product listings, I think that's fine if you have a whole bunch of products. As long as the idea with an articles, it's something that you could take out of one page and place into another page, and you don't need the context of the greater picture. So like, if I look here, this, I mean, it wouldn't make much sense somewhere else, but all the information you need to know about this is here. So, you know, it's still a little self-encapsulated piece of information, which I guess you could say about most things. Like this to me is a little bit different because like you never want to miss an update and all of this. This needs the context of the bigger page, whereas these guys here don't. I see that I use HSL for colors. Why not? Because HSL is the easiest one out of all of them to make changes to. So if I want to make this color lighter, I know that I can just come and change this to a 64, and I'm gonna have the same exact color but lighter. Or if I want it to be brighter, I can just come here and change the saturation to 100, and then I get the same color but more saturated. Or if I want it grayed out, I can put 10%. And then if I want to change the hue, I want red, I want 360, and I get red, or so on and so forth, right? If we add this, let's bring it up to 50, and it's sort of in the reds. So it's just the easiest one to manipulate, whereas like hex and RGB, I can guess what an RGB color is, but then if I'm like, oh, I want a more saturated version of that red, I can't do it. You can use a color picker, obviously, right? It's not the end of the world, but HSL is just, for me, the easiest one to work with. So that's why I use it. And I thought I would start using LCH for everything, but it's so hard to use. I don't normally do it. If I have commas here, it's because I copied and pasted from something. Yeah. If I'm copy pasting from somewhere, or I think actually if let's just try. If I do this, save that file, if I cycle through here, yeah. If I had a hex code, because a lot of the time I'll paste a hex code in, and then I'll use this and switch it to HSL. If you just click on the color name there, it switches it. And it uses the comma separated version. I'm not going to bother updating that. So the only time I actually do update this is because I'll still go to do this for like 0.9 or 0.8 to change the opacity of it. So if I do that and then it doesn't work, and then instead of using a comma there, I just come and get rid of the commas instead. But I probably have some, no I don't. I was gonna say, it's a lot of projects I'll have a mix of both, depending if I wrote the HSL myself or if I'm copying pasting it from somewhere. Hope's here over in Twitch. Thank you, Hope, for coming hanging out. It's been a while. All right. I want to look at this grid for a second. I originally thought I only wanted the gap this way, but I probably want a gap this way that's the same number. And that means why? Okay, let's add the gap there first. So we can just do a gap. And then this one has a margin on the top. I didn't remove any margins or with like a reset or anything. So it could just be from the H2. Maybe? No, the H2 doesn't have a margin on it. Oh, I did. That's my list. Okay. Where's that space coming from? Oh, my UL. That was my sign up. No, that wasn't here. My article list? Find article preview list. Why does it have a margin? Section. Margin 0. Margin block 3. Nice, Kevin. Okay. There we go. So just adding that extra white space in there already makes me a little bit happier with it. This I'm not super happy with. I think what I'm going to do is in that one, which is all the way at the bottom. We were just doing that, right? My intro. I think the color is going to be my var text. I forget what I called them. Did I do a text one? No, I didn't. This is why I hate working on projects. I did foreground one. Okay, why I don't like doing projects once a week or less. This is once a month. The last time I touched it was 1 month ago. And then the reason I had this as bold text is because I had all that other text that was in there. So I wanted to make sure that it was obvious. And now, because we have much less text, what happened here? Oh my goodness, what did Prettier do? And it doesn't want to format it. What a disaster. Whenever I can see the strong tags, I have an empty, no, that's not an empty paragraph. What is happening here? That's, oh, okay, never mind. For some reason, it opened, let's close this. Don't save. Index. I opened the index.html, which is in my dist folder, which is the production, like the built version of it. And it was minified. That makes more sense. There we go. So that's a little bit better. That scared me for a second. I didn't do any font sizes, which is unlike me. Did I? No, I didn't. I think I'll just do a font size of 1 rem as well. 1.1's so small now for me. Something like that I think works better. And then the line height, 1.4. Nope, 5. That's okay too. My spacing here is irregular. That was my sign up. What did I call it? I don't think that's just, it is sign up. Oh, I did that. See, this is the problem when you have a global CSS file and you have component CSS. Let's just say first child. Whoops, not what I wanted. I have another, I'm probably gonna do it on live streams eventually, is redesign my personal page. And I started mucking around with stuff and I was doing so much of this and it was really messy. That margin block start of 0. I'm starting to think, like you have the usual like margin 0 that everybody does. I'm starting to think, I don't really like that one. I always bring a lot of margins back in, but I'm thinking that having just like a global first child margin top or margin block start of 0 would be worth having in a reset. I just don't know what the performance of that is and if it would actually cause any issues or not. Marco, I had a margin 0 on the list, but then later on I had declared a margin block start. Milio Astro is a static site builder. So astro.build is the website if you want to learn more about it. Oh, B1 beat me to it. Have I ever read a book of coding? I don't know either one of the ones that you talked about, so I can't make relevant ones. I haven't read any actual coding books in a very long time. So there's one, the only 2 that I know for CSS that I haven't read, but I would trust to say are good, are the one, there's CSS, oh my goodness, what's it called? The one by Eric Meyer and Estelle Meyer. Is it the definitive guide? Yeah, okay, CSS the definitive guide. It's ridiculous. Can I get the definitive guide? Is there a this is the latest edition. It's insane. It's a book on CSS. It's relatively recent, which is why it's ridiculously huge. And then there's the other one that I'm forgetting, CSS books. Let's see. What's the other one that I'm thinking of? I don't see this one, CSS in depth, right here, by Keith J. Grant. I would also, both of them know, or Estelle and Eric know what they're talking about, and Keith also knows what he's talking about. So I haven't read them, but I would recommend them just based on who the authors are. A multi-step form that doesn't use a swiper. I don't like multi-step forms in general. I find them very annoying. Flow market, if I had full choice on CSS on a React project and it was starting from scratch and I could do anything, I would have one CSS file that's my global file and that would be it. Because I'm not a fan of the CSS in JS solutions that I've used. They just annoy me a little bit. And part of it's because I'm so used to writing vanilla CSS and there's like little differences that just bug me. So I'm a little bit biased on that, but I also avoid React projects. So that also plays into it. All right, so one thing that's bugging me now is on this. I think what I'm actually going to do, that was my sign up. I think I'm going to keep the border. I want to change it a little bit though. Let's go accent dark maybe. Let's see what my accent dark would look like. I'm also going to add a border radius because we have a border radius, and I'm going to create some variables for border radius. I don't think we're ever going to have more, but this is something I'd like to do. So if you do a border radius 1, the idea here is on the levels of border radii that you have. So if I do a border and this also would be, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the right amount here actually on this one. Okay, let's, the main thing is because if I come in, oh, the dark didn't change that. Why not? That's interesting. I'm gonna have to play with that accent there. But that's okay. If I just change this to white, I want to make sure I'm selecting the right thing. When you make a change and it doesn't work, yeah, okay. We'll play with the color on that after. Let's come with the border radius first. Border radius. So I know the border radius on the outer one is 1 rem, and if you match the border radius on both, it looks terrible. It's not even 1 rem, is it? It's like 0.5 maybe? It was 0.5. They don't look like they match. So the trick is, yeah, my numbering here won't work. But generally you want to take the distance between the two and subtract that from one to the other. I'll just do a 0.25 there. I was going to build a system for border radiuses that I'm not going to do now. Okay, let's check out my border radius. Accent, dark, and accent. Oh, because this one and this one are basically the same color. So they look almost the same. Accent dark is using 4. And the regular accent was using 2. Yeah, they're just super similar. And my accent dark is actually lighter. So let's try this at 30. If I do 10, I'm not using the dark. Okay, we're going to come back to here. Let's set this as the dark. And now we can actually get, that's more probably what I want. And if you're going darker, maybe a 75 on that. This is also really bad, how I named this stuff. Don't follow this as an example of what you should do. It's not the best. But I'm going to do that for my accent dark. And then, I don't even know if this is going to look good or not. All the way at the bottom of this one, my intro, if I do a border of 2 pixels solid var accent. Not fantastic. I sort of do want this to have it. I think it looks better. And then I might actually just take the border off of the sign up one. Something like that probably works better. I'm okay with that actually. It's starting to be more how I envisioned it, so that's good. I don't know if I should put so much attention on this. Again, part of the, I guess so though. I don't mind having the attention on this. The main problem was you had to scroll to actually get to the content you want to get to, which I didn't like. I wanted something where you could actually just access the things you're interested in here. Is one big form better than a multi-step form in terms of user experience? I think that's something you should test out to find out. The one that, I guess the one that drives me the most nuts is the ones where you have to just do your username and password, and it's you put in your username, click next to then put in your password, and then click another thing or push enter, whatever. Like, why are we adding extra steps for 2 form fields? That drives me bananas. And I know Google does it, and I hate it so much. Jazzercise, I basically always build things from scratch. Though I do have a starter template that I use for larger projects of my own. Color question, have I looked into perceptual color spaces like OKLab and OKLCH? Yes. I don't know, is OKLab perceptual? You can't, like, it's just random math numbers though, right? It's hard to use. My problem with OKLCH is that you can't Like with a regular HSL, if I go back to my variables, a regular HSL, like I can just change a value and know what I'm going to get. Where that's the idea with LCH is you change your lightness and it's always going to be perceptually consistent, or not the, sorry, you change your chroma and the lightness will be perceptually the same, but then you can run into areas where that lightness and that chroma, no, light, LCH, hue, I'm talking about hue. You're shifting your hue, keeping the same lightness, but then you run into a chroma that doesn't exist for a lot of colors. And it's the nice thing with HSL is all three of them work. Like this is 0 to 100, this is 0 to 100, and this is 0 to 360, or you can loop around. With LCH, two of them have the full range, and then the chroma, every hue you're at has a different upper limit, which is weird, I find. Evan, thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. My dog is fine, yes. She's just being annoying. I'll say one thing, like the way I'm approaching this project would definitely not be how I would approach a larger scale project. But I find you can learn a lot by just throwing stuff in and seeing what works and having fun with smaller personal projects. And then you end up finding like this is terrible and I would want to refactor how I did this because it's a really bad naming convention. I even said to fix it as my to-do there. But there's other things that I might just be like throwing at the wall to like try in terms of naming or organization that I wouldn't do in a larger project. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, actually, I might use that later on. It's a lot of doing that led to me doing a lot more. Do I have any examples here? Probably not. But just stuff like, I don't know, descendant selectors and doing things like this that like the more I started doing it being like, I don't really care. It's a small side project where it doesn't matter as much. And then I'm like, oh, this actually works really well. And I, you know, stuff like this, like descendant selectors are actually good. That's cool. I followed the advice not to use them forever. And then realized that no, you can make it work and it won't break your project as long as it's thoughtful and well done how you started it from. I saw a question about somebody had mentioned some of the border radius and I've lost it now, so I do apologize. The one inside shouldn't have a radius. I find if you have a radius on the outside, you should have the radius on the inside too. Maybe that's just me though, but the very small radius I think is okay. But any more than I have now would not work. I should fix this. I was going to do something else, but let's fix this right here because nobody's email address is that short. So I'd originally, and this is, I'm using ConvertKit, so they have like a form you copy pasted in to be able to use it, so I don't have to worry about any of the other stuff that's in here. But the problem is that I can make changes. I could make a lot of changes to how they've formatted. Yes. Things here. Like I don't know if I need that, but I have my button. I just keep it the same. I don't mind working within it. That's my form kit field. Nope, that's the field. The field's data stack. I'm not using any of this anyway. I could clean this up if I wanted to. Fields. Do I have anything? So I have my fields. If I delete this, this is what I currently have for that. Okay. I think because originally when it was wide, it made sense to do it like that. Do I just switch this to flex? No, not flex. Do I switch it to grid, but just without that? Do I want a full width subscribe button? I don't know. Width 100%. Yes. 1 second. Grid template. I'm curious. Template column 1FR. I wasn't sure if that would. So this, the width 100%. Form stuff is so annoying. Is it getting? It is getting the width from the parent. Even though this is display grid, I'm surprised that it's doing that. 1 second, grid, template, columns, 300 pixels, 1FR. What's that going to give me? And if I did that at 50 pixels. And just for fun, if I take off my button, box sizing. Oh, I never did my box sizing reset. Look at that. Root. I'll just do it here. Why do I feel like I'm nested somewhere? Anyway. Box sizing, border box. That should potentially fix my problem. Star before, star after. I know you don't need the star here for these selectors, but I still put them because I like to. Okay. That should fix that. There we go. Good old box sizing problems. Don't see those too often anymore. And I think I will just do a gap here. Gap of 1 rem. 0.5. There we go. This will also get a... I did the... Oh no, that's there. The input. I never styled this really, but border radius of 0. Oh, isn't that so weird how that happens? If you don't put the border radius, you get like the default styling on the element. And then when you put the border radius, it changes everything. Border 0. And actually, it doesn't look terrible. I guess the background color is wrong now, though. We'll do my var surface 1, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, TR Power. Do I ever set fallback values in my variables? I do all the time. A lot. For colors like this, no, because I'm referencing a specific color. But if I'm doing, I don't think I have any. Well, no, that's my light darks. Do I have any layouty stuff? Well, actually, I had one. We did the one here. So anytime it's a locally scoped custom property, I didn't do it for this padding. But for a lot, this padding is just to make my life easier, so I don't have to go inside a calc and like find where something longer is. But if I'm doing something where, I'm gonna go get my dog in a second. If I'm doing something where I don't have to grab a very like, I'm trying to make something that could be easy to change for layout purposes, for example, I tend to use fallback values. The best way to slide a message from under the outer box of an email input to show the submission is successful. I would just either, I think the best thing is probably like a position, absolute anchor positioning will make life a lot easier for that. But just having something that is positioned on top of things, or even having the email field go away, like just have the whole thing disappear and replace it with the success message. Because then say someone's not really paying attention, and then you have your little toast that comes up and then fades off. You know, if you just remove the input field and say like successful or whatever, it's probably the best from a user experience point of view, though it does potentially cause layout shift. It would be great if we could set the alpha channel to a color separately, defining. You can do that now. It's fantastic. I don't know what the support is. I think it's pretty good though. Relative colors. 90%. It's baseline widely available, so depends on how you're feeling. I also don't know if things like post CSS, preset env, or other things can handle that or not. But if I have like my blue color here, let's just do a body before content is this, position absolute, width 50 VW, aspect ratio 1. Background will be my surface 1. No, that won't be the best one. Let's do my accent. There we go. So if I do my accent color and I get this big thing like that, I can just do an HSL from my var, comma, no, no comma, space, H space, S space, L, and then I can do the / and do it 0.5, and I get it at 50%. And the reason we put these here is because we're taking the H, the S, the L value as the H, the S, the L value. We're just mapping this color directly to those three. And then that, so this could also be RGB. And if you did it as an RGB, you do RGB like that, and you'd get the same result. I'll be right back. You guys got to see the mess that is in the background of my my thing now, my office. CSS is or isn't a programming language. I believe that it is a programming language. And I'm not going to get into why, but I believe it is. And it's more and more so. We're getting if statements are coming now. We're getting mix-ins. We're getting like custom functions are coming to CSS, and that's just some of the stuff. Style queries potentially show off that a little bit. In a way, up until now, it's been more of like a hook into a programming language, because the programming language is more under the hood. Because like the Flexbox algorithm, the grid algorithms are very complex pieces of programming that we're hooking into or controlling through the declarative language that is CSS. But so, you know, the semantics of that can go back and forth pretty a lot. I also don't think it's like, I don't really care what we call it, to be honest. I don't think it makes a big difference. I think being good at CSS versus being good at another thing, it doesn't really, you know, call it what you want, as long as you're not putting if you're saying it's not a programming language just because you're being pedantic about like what the definition of a programming language is, which even then it really depends a little bit. But you know, you might have a very strict sense, and in whatever sense that is, it doesn't fall into there. If it's just for like pure semantics and it's not because it has anything to do with people who are doing it, it's one thing. I find a lot of people who say that it's not a programming language say it because they think what they do is better. So just if it's being done in any sort of gatekeepy way, then I'll actually fight it a lot more. Whereas if it's somebody who's just really arguing semantics, I don't feel like it's worth it to argue about it too much. Because at the end of the day, who cares, honestly? Do I think it makes the language more or less accessible to beginners? One thing I love about CSS is that it doesn't change that, because we're adding new, it's definitely becoming more complicated and more complex, right? Like even just this line of CSS, like this looks, if a beginner comes across this, they have no idea what's happening. So like, and things like functions and mix-ins are going to add to that. Nesting adds a layer of complexity to things. Some of the things I was working on this morning for a video are like when you're trying to look at, I was using toggle, the toggle trick, which I could maybe look at an example of here. Things like style queries that are coming, these all are hard if you were just a beginner thrown in and told to like learn this. But the beauty about CSS is the stuff from 10 years ago is still relevant and completely fine, and you can still build websites with that. So I don't think it's harder to learn. I just think it's much harder to master because there's more stuff to know about it. But the beginning part of CSS is the same now as it always was. So I think CSS is just as accessible as ever. It can just be a bit more overwhelming if you don't have a clear path on what to learn, I think. I don't know, is my audio, computer audio coming through my, no, I don't. Let me see if I can add it. 1 second. Somebody asking about the SV, like here I did VI. So the viewport units, we have like viewport, I'll just say VW. We now have like SVW, DVW, and LVW, right? So small, dynamic, and large. And that conversation I just had with Miriam, I made a thing. Can I add? Nope. Add. Audio. I usually have my computer audio, and I don't have it for... I don't know if it's this one or not. Image, media, scene. Let's see what this one is. Nope. Create new. No, that's not the one I want. I'll put the link to it, but I'll try and find the link to it. The main thing was that I prefer the small for most things, and occasionally the dynamic. But the main thing I like is the small one. Techno Workbench asking about parents from a current selector is able to do that, like B1 said. TR Power, I would suggest if you've just finished the course to try building your own things with it before you move on to something else. It can be a short thing, but I would try doing a little bit. And then just to reinforce what you've learned, because if you keep just learning new things all the time, it muddies things up and you sometimes feel like you're making a lot of progress, but nothing's sticky. So there's a lot of static audio now. Oh, that should fix that. Sorry about that. I added in the wrong, I did add something by accident. Let's remove that. I didn't think I added the source that I did add. For some reason, oh no, okay, I thought I removed the wrong one. For some reason, my main camera thing gets picked up all the time as an audio source, but the name of it doesn't make me think it's what I thought it was. Thank you for letting me know about the static noise. Serhi Bevs, I do use SCSS quite a lot actually, just not in videos very often because I don't have a need for it for the types of things I'm showing when I do YouTube videos. Saying that you're working with CSS for the last 2 years, but you can't make something creative and have difficulty with design. So that's one important thing to learn or know. Writing the code to make something a design and being able to design something are two very different skills. So yeah, I think that's super important to always remember that. CSS is how to make the design happen in the browser. It's not, you don't learn how to be a designer with CSS. Milos, I have two. Did I add? I just realized something. Let's go look. I might. Courses. I have free courses and paid courses. This one's free. Conquering Responsive Layouts is free, and a new version of it will be out hopefully not too long from now. I did add it. Okay, HTML and CSS for absolute beginners is free. This one, I would do this one instead of this one. This is like the newer version of that. I should probably take this one off my site. Yeah, those are the main ones. The HTML and CSS for absolute beginners. If you're looking for an order to do them in, I would do this one first. I'm working on making it more clear what order to do my courses in. Then I would do this one, then I would do this one. This is, as my free courses go, the space travel website's definitely the most advanced one. I do like scope styles, yes. Oh, thank you for putting the link there, everyone. Appreciate it. So we have Next.js, React.js, and mostly use Tailwind CSS. Why do we need to use CSS to design pages? If we are writing CSS, it means we are making website with simple HTML, CSS, which no company wants. Well, Tailwind is just CSS. It's just classes that are done for you. So it's a layer on top of CSS. But there's a lot of other ways of writing CSS and a lot of companies that don't want Tailwind. If we go to State of CSS 2024 results, and we go to CSS usage, or is it library and tools? So like lots of people are using Tailwind. I wish they had the other graph too, because there was one like how often you're using it that they had last year. But like here's Tailwind with like 75% of people saying that they use it, right? But if we then we have Bootstrap at 54, and then not much else in terms of the frameworks. But then if we come down, then there's a lot of people also using CSS modules. So you're not using CSS modules and Tailwind together, hopefully. And like those numbers overlap because people are using both of them, because one project will be using CSS modules, another project will be using Tailwind. And then if we come down to here, there's also Sass at 67%. And post CSS at 38. And so like there's all these different tools that are sort of combining, or like there's overlap going on. So most people have used Tailwind, but it doesn't mean that it's actually getting used on every project. And I know lots of people who work professionally who don't touch Tailwind. So, you know, it depends on a lot of things. And it depends where you're working and what the demands are and everything else like that too. The grid isn't looking very good. I know the grid on my courses page looks bad, but it's because it's using masonry layout. And so it will actually look good in Firefox. Oh, check this out. I was recording a video here. I was using OpenAI's website to show that they have terrible contrast ratios on some of their text that's really small too. There's other problems in here too. The accessibility audit thing that's in Firefox is still so much better than the other browsers. Yeah, let's do kevinpowell.co/courses. And the grid looks better because we have masonry over here. Yay. So it's a nice sort of progressive enhancement where things can fit into each other. It's been like this for like 5 years. I'm going to leave that open because I have to re-record part of that lesson. But yeah. All right. Thoughts on where we are with this. I'm not in love. Let's see if we can get it looking like not broken on mobile, because that's kind of important. And you can give me ideas and thoughts on what we should do. So I'm changing the padding when we're at that. So let's just see if I bring my grid template columns in at that point, if it makes sense. So if we're on a small screen, that's a little bit too narrow, right? So let's just up this. That's okay. Is that, let's turn off my grid because I don't really want to see it. What grid is this that's on? What grid is it? That one is on? There we go. I might let this get smaller. I don't know how small I want to let that get though. I don't think we'll run, yeah, we should be fine at the small sizes. Maybe that's okay. It's kind of awkward-ish, but it's not the end of the world. I guess I'm okay with that. Snake Gaming's, I don't write backend, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, nobody giving any input on that, so I'm going to stick with that for now. I think I'm going to change my gap in the middle though. This gap is going to get changed for a clamp. Should I do the same as my padding? Let's try. Var padding. I saw Adam Argyle had a custom property called, I think it was it gadding? padding. It was padding and gap together. Maybe it was gadding. I thought it was funny. So yeah, he was just using, he wanted the same, the padding and his gap to be the same. So we had the same on both, and then just had some fun with that. So that will look fine at larger screen sizes. And then that gap should get smaller, but it's not getting smaller. So if it's not getting smaller, that means this is too big. I saw it shrink a little bit. There, okay. And then as we go that way, it's getting it's probably never hitting that small size, but that's okay. One thing I do like doing is, even though the gap is vertical, I like having it based on the width, because if it's a really narrow viewport, it means you're probably on a phone, so you just want it to be smaller anyway. I'm okay with that. I don't know if I love this thing at the top here, but I can live with it. I also don't know if I love how that has a max width on it now. Sign up form. Did I have a max width? I did. I think I can turn that off now. Yeah, I'm not like super. Oh no, position sticky. uh, Position sticky. Where's my position sticky? Is here. So that's only in my home layout. Okay, we're already using nesting anyway, so I always want this to be on there though. I was gonna do a bit more nesting, but maybe I just take, this is where I wish we had custom media queries. So the align self, I always, I know that all of this only matters, so we can say this is at media. I can paste in, right? I wonder if I should have used a container query instead. And then maybe, no, a container query doesn't make sense for this because it's super narrow here. Never mind. So I can just do that. And I think now it's sticky there and will not be sticky here. That's better. Yeah, we could make this 2 columns when it's wide enough. That would actually be a good use case for container queries, because it's only going to be wide when we're on a narrower screen, and it goes narrower when we're on a bigger screen. So to do that, we will need a container query. There was a question about when do I decide to use Flexbox or Grid? If I want things to be the size of the element, like for a navigation where like each one should be the size of the link, or for, yeah, basically anytime I need things to be like different sizes, Flexbox, the rest of the Grid will be my first go-to for most things. So even if it's equal columns or I need to control a layout, then it will be, I'll be doing it through or with Grid most of the time. So if I want to use a container query, that means my is that sign up form background. So the sign up form is on, yeah, okay, sign up form. So this could be, yeah, this would be fine. So this would be a container type inline size. And as soon as I do that, now I could come here and say at container. Oh, this is a fun one for the container. If the width is greater than, we'll do 50 VW. We can then say that it's grid template columns of, let's just say 1FR 250 pixels maybe. And the gap can be 0. So yeah, I got this from Andy Bell, and this is what first I have a talk that I did. My talk at CSS Day looked at my talk at Smashing Conference looked at this. How container queries are better than we have to change our mindset towards how container queries work. If you're using them like media queries, you're not using them to their full potential, because media queries can only look at the size of the viewport. Whereas container queries can compare two different things. So I can compare the width of an element to the width of the viewport, which is something we can't do. You're only looking at the width of the viewport if you're using a media query. So here I'm saying, is this element bigger or smaller than 50% of the total viewport? You can also compare it using units and other things like relative units, which don't work with media queries in the same way. So it opens up some. So as soon as I know that it's no longer a 2-column layout, then I do this, and I don't have to worry about like when's the breakpoint happening or what's the specific size. If it's stacked layout, then it will be this, and that might cause problems here. So I just realized that. So we'll fix that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing that we can do that. So as soon as it's not stacked anymore. So if my width is larger than that, I want this. But what if, here it's getting way too small. So like this would probably be, that's about 515. Would this work? 515 px. This way. No. Oh, yeah. And then, oh no, that's always, there's definitely a way of doing this. Why doesn't this work? If 515, let me just do it this way. Oh, because I'm putting in, yeah, never mind. I know. No, wait, if 515 is bigger than my width, it will be 2 columns. So then it should, oh, because I'm looking at the container size, not the viewport size. Because when I get to here, it was changed there. It's changing all the way out here. That makes more sense. Okay, so maybe it was working, but this needs to be a much bigger number. There it's okay. Here it's okay. Or a much smaller number. Why isn't it, can I not do that? I was sure I could do something like that. How do you decide between CSS? Oh, we did that one. Flip it the other way around. No, that doesn't work, does it? I get so confused when I start bringing in multiple breakpoints. I'll figure it out in a minute, or I'll just make a second breakpoint. It's not the end of the world. This would work too, though, no? Oh, I'm backwards now. If my width is, yeah. See, I can reason it one way. As soon as I add that second one in there, it breaks my mind. What app do I use for streaming? Right now I'm going directly through OBS for the YouTube one. What is my take on using mixins to reuse media queries like the ones we're doing? If I'm using a mixin, I'm using Sass, and in that case, it's easy. I can just use a variable. We're supposed to get custom media queries. I'm supposed to be able to come in. I forget exactly, but it'd be like, you know, MQ1, and you could map it to a value, and they're a little bit different from regular ones. I don't remember exactly how they work, because I never use them, but you'd be able to use that within your breakpoint. It's in the spec, it just never is happening. I don't know why. I should probably find out. Andre, if that works, I'll be very happy. Thank you. That looks okay here. It's working there. Thank you. Oh no, wait. it's almost good. What if I did? That's okay. No. I might just build multiple because we're at a very, I don't know. If the width is greater than 320, why isn't it working? If it's less than 50, maybe there's too many, there's a conflict between these two things both happening at the same time, I think is what it is. With a media query, this would work because we'd only be looking at like a specific number here and a specific number here. I think what's happening now is we're running into a conflict where the width is greater than 50 VW, but it should be able to be greater than both. I don't know, whatever. We'll figure that out in a minute. I'll try this one too. Liad is suggesting this. I think I tried that though, didn't I? I think I tried this already. I do appreciate the help from everyone though. That's okay. No, that's not working either. Yeah, I think there's a conflict going on. See you, Hope. Thank you for hanging out. Lord and Savior, I'm glad that it's been helpful. That's great to hear. Stephen, I didn't know you were here. Thank you for coming and hanging out. I didn't notice. I see you up higher in the chat now. Can I use the and keyword? That's a good question. Probably. I always like this new syntax because you can do weird stuff like this. But okay, let's start with one of them and we'll use the and syntax and see what happens. How you been doing, Stephen? So this is the opposite of what I want now. So when the width is greater than 50 VW, and if the width is less than, no. Oh, see, okay, this is the default. That might be my problem. Maybe I want to do it the other way around. And, okay, and width is greater than, let's just say 400 pixels. There we go. Thank you, Stephen. The and syntax to the rescue. Perfect. If I did 350, I'm sure we must be hitting one where they both were true. Yeah. That's even better maybe. And then it goes to there. Perfect. Okay. So just instead of combining them together, we're saying if it's this and this. I still feel like it, no. I still feel like we should have been able to get that to work within a single declaration. Well, it's still a single declaration, but yeah, I am doing well. Thank you. Me and Stephen got to meet at CSS Day, where we both got to talk. It was pretty cool and hang out, have some late nights together as well. I was hoping to go back this year, but I will not be making it back this year, but in future years I will definitely be back. All right, yeah, I'm pretty happy we got that working. I wouldn't have tried the and there, so I do appreciate that. Cloudy White Moon, thank you very much. Oh, and Tech Workbench, I apologize. You offered the same thing in the Twitch chat and I didn't notice. So I don't know who got there first between Stephen and Tech Workbench, but both of you with the right idea there. Awesome. So the site's kind of boring still, but this is what we started with, and I think we're better than this. I think it's a little bit more friendly. We can get to the content we want to get to a little bit easier, which is nice. So I'm open to suggestions if anybody has any other things they want. The new syntax is shorter, but I like the readability of the logic. I don't like the logical keywords, maybe because I'm teaching things, but when I have to tell people that min width means larger than, even though you have the min keyword here and max is smaller than, but you're putting the word max, I just find there's like this weird mental connection you have to make there that's weird, because then that works the opposite. Like that's with a media query, but then if you're doing something like a max width, I guess it works sort of like the max width. I'm thinking of mixing up there actually with the min width, sorry. If you're doing a width and then you use a min function, it's the same as, well, effectively the same thing as using a max width. So there's that like mind bender thing there too, that took me a while to get used to. And like that inverseness between the max and the min keywords that's kind of strange. I like the new one better for simple things. Maybe for more complicated things, though, as we're seeing, there's better ways of doing it. Oh, the and specifically, yeah, okay. That, yeah, definitely. It's as soon as you get more values in there, it gets harder to read. So, who said the call? Ator saying the column on the right would look better. I'm, I don't mind it on the left, but I am sort of thinking the same thing, for the primary reason that I think this is annoying at the top of the page, and I'd rather have it at the bottom, which will mean I'm going to have to eventually add pagination in here as well. But I still don't think there's enough articles to warrant pagination, because I didn't want to change the order. Because right now, if I tab through everything, like when I tab to the email, it's here, and then when I keep tabbing, I'm going through, which makes sense. And if I played and used order to put it at the bottom, or used order to like put it on the left, I think it would be kind of awkward. But I do think I might agree with you. So let's try it. Where that's my intro. We can take all of the intro out and put it after this section, and then we'll have to change my grid a little bit. But let's try that out. This would be the other way around, 1FR 300 pixels. And then it looks like that. I'll take votes. One or two, the current one or the one we previously had a minute ago. Because again, the advantage of this one is it's small screen sizes, this hides down at the bottom. And if somebody is like, so you land on the page, you want to get somewhere, you click on it, you have the article, and then here you can still sign up to the RSS feed. So it's not like it's like hiding away. Oh, no, this would still work because of the container. Oh, yeah, okay, my container query is still working. Uh-oh. I have some overflow being caused by something. Oh, I have a broken I should probably fix my content on this page too. Let's go see one where there's no iframe just to see. No, I did something now that is causing some overflow. So that could be something I did down here. Oh, there's more we got some overflow issues to solve now. Oh, this better not be from the stupid code blocks. I thought I fixed that problem. That's annoying. Oh, it still lands on your birthday, yeah. That, I mean, it's kind of fun in a way, but I guess your family doesn't appreciate it every time you're like, no, I'm off to CSS day instead. When the articles reach a max width, yeah, we could. The 300 is a little bit narrow. Whoops, not what I do not want to open Copilot. How do I close Copilot? What's the? Oh my goodness. There's no like close button here either. Does anyone know this? Okay, there we go. I think I did a control shift I for dev tools, meaning to close them here. And I thought that it was, let's just go big and see. I think that's okay. I don't really necessarily want that to be bigger than that. I think it's okay at that size. Just because the line length would start getting kind of long on them too. I think we're okay like that, but let's see. The current one looks better. This one is better. People like, okay, we're going to stick with this. Everyone's saying they prefer this version better. So we're going to go with this one. Mr. Crispy Clean, do I ever go into game design? Feel you have a great eye for designing in general. Oh, thank you. I've never really even thought about it, but it could be fun. Yeah, everybody's voting for this layout. So perfect. Oops, sorry for hitting the microphone there. Main content on top. Perfect. We're going to stick with this layout. I feel like the two might look better, but then you would want I only want people to sign up for either the newsletter or the RSS feed if they want to. Like, I don't like pushing these things on people, because like if you come and you're trying to get to an article, you're not going to sign up for the newsletter or add it to your RSS probably without having read something on the page first, right? So to me, like come in, read the article, and then like, oh, you land on the desktop version, you know there's an RSS feed. Like that's the main thing. I'm not making it a pop-up. I'm not trying to like push numbers or anything like that. It's really not the goal. So let's figure out what's happening. Why are we overflowing? So there is one possibility that it is the code blocks, because when I use grid, let's just delete this pre. Okay, at least I know that this is the problem. So the pre-block is the problem, and that's because I don't know how I'm gonna fix this. Crap, I thought I solved this problem already way earlier on before I like made the site public. If my main is a display grid, which I am, the pre-blocks that are direct children of the grid will cause overflow. Okay, yeah, this is grid. I think if the pre-block was directly nested, let's move it here. I think I can click and drag, right? Yes. Can I scroll at the same time? No, I can't. Okay, we're gonna move this pre-block outside of the parent. I don't even, yeah, that's this one. Let's drop it here. Oh, it didn't fix it. We're still causing some overflow. And no, okay, this is the parent. The pros is the parent. If I drop it there, yeah, see, okay. So if the pre is a direct child of the grid, it will just give you the overflow like you wanted in the first place, and it's perfect, and there's no problems. When the pre is inside, and maybe somebody here knows why this happens. I've run into it a lot lately because I've been using grid so much for my layouts, but I haven't been bothered to figure out what's actually causing it. I've just found some solutions to it. When you have this is the direct child, and then there's the pre-block here, for some reason this is what I'm not sure about, and maybe I think it's in all browsers, which makes me, let me just double check here in Firefox again. When we're in, I think it happened everywhere. Yeah, so it's happening in Firefox too. So because I see it happening in two engines, and I'm going to assume that it's also happening in Firefox, Safari, and I could check that. I'm on Windows right now though. But I'm going to assume it happens there, because as soon as it happens in two engines, you tend to assume that it happens everywhere. Or that it's also just something with how grid works. But it's like this ends up setting the minimum size of this. And I think it's just like the way the calculations are done. It's the only thing I can think of where it's getting the width of the pre before the width of the 1FR here is determined or something, if that makes sense. Because if I turn off the grid, see, it fixes it too. But it's so weird because it's only doing it if it's too deep. And if I look at the pre-block, it does it not have? It has a max width of 100%. So yeah, if anybody knows why this is happening, I would love to know. Oh, nah. Okay, I'm going to try that. Display contents. That breaks everything though. Styling wise, it does solve the problem. But there's a lot of styling being done on the elements because they're inside of the pre, and I guess that goes out the window with it. Yeah, it's a really weird thing. What if I just, so I have a max width 100. The problem, it's almost like the pre is setting the width that the pros is then following as it becomes part of the grid or something. I don't know. Because again, this is only happening if the main is a display grid. What if I did this as flex? I'm just out of fun. If I do display flex, I'm getting the same problem. It's even worse than display. Let's do that would flex direction of column. No, it doesn't happen in flex. So it only happens if the parent is a grid, which is super interesting. I think like right now, I'll try that. Somebody's suggesting the flow market. I'll try what you suggested. I don't know if that would work. This is using my main, so we're doing 1200 here, right? No, we're not. That's my max width. I don't have any grid template columns at this size. Okay, let's just see. Grid template columns, min max 0, 1FR. I don't think, oh my goodness, that works. That's a better solution than so there is another solution that I've done, and I couldn't do it in this situation because I'm using Markdown to make these posts, so I can't add another grid. The other solution for this, I'm glad I have this one now though, is, why do we need that though? That's super weird. Because if you put the pre in another element that has a max width of 100%, then it fixes the problem. Because then the pre is being contained by, like you need to go 2 levels out. Or actually, let's turn this one off, just for fun. Main star max width. I don't think this would change it though, right? Yeah, there's this weird thing where like I don't know if that's even, it's the pros in this case. So main, it should be that one, but let's just try doing a dot pros. It shouldn't change anything. Yeah, it's like, I know the grid is showing, yeah, see, the grid column is getting set too big when we do this. So it's like the grid is here, but the grid column is bigger than itself, like the actual thing. I kept trying that. So if you can wrap your pre in another element, that will actually set the size. It's super weird, but anyway, it's good to know. I wish I'd thought of this. You just set that and it fixes it. Great. Problem solved. Thank you. Oh, can we just do a 100% here too? And this is another suggestion coming from over on Twitch that seems to also work. Okay, that's annoying. And the auto doesn't work. Is it auto? The auto, which is the default value, doesn't work. So you have to explicitly, so just a 100% here is enough. Good to know. So yeah, as I said, it's on purpose with how the flex or the grid works, clearly. The implicit grid is just getting busted, so we have to explicitly create a grid column. Super weird. The real illumination saying that you're shouting out to your love Linne, who's watching live from Sweden. That's very cute. Clear both, call it a day. Yeah. Yeah, it's something to do with the pre ends up impacting, like, but it's weird because it only happens if the pre is, like, if you have a grid, if the pre is a direct child of the grid, you don't run into the problem. It's only if it's one more inside, because I guess the way the white space on that, because you're not getting any line wrapping, so it's impacting the next element, which is then impacting how the grid is calculating how big the column should be. It's super weird, but at least we have a solution now. Thank you, and hopefully I remember that. I'll probably make a video on that to help myself remember. So thank you for the 2 people who helped with that. How do we make a header with the logo on the left and the menu on the right? Display Flex is your friend. So actually, I probably have that in the site, right? Header. So I have, it's not the greatest example if you're a beginner, but this part here is this link that's here, and then I have my nav that has 2 links in it. I just realized I'm not using a list. Very possible I'm not using a list. Are we? No, we're not. Ooh. Thoughts there, anybody? But you do, so I just have my header, and then my header is using a display flex. If I turn off my flex, they don't go next to each other. I do a display flex, they go next to each other. And then justify content space between adds the space between them. So that's weird that they're still spaced out. There must be a margin on something, but normally you add the justify and it's, and I can't talk right now, it spaces them out. This should probably be a list, right? I don't think I'm ever gonna have an about page, so we'll get rid of that. I'm trying to think. A few other things I want to do on the site is I want to change this to style it nicer. Should we? Or where's custom selects at? Can I use maybe? No, it won't be here, right? Custom select menu CSS. Where is this at in terms of browser support? Is it in Chrome or is it only in Canary? This isn't. This is an earlier one. This isn't where we want. Let's see if it's here. Customize. Well, what if I just do select? Select. No, no, no. This is saying no browsers, but it's behind a flag in Chrome. But they're not doing the select list anymore, right? Now it's just the select with other stuff. In Canary only still. Yeah. Has engineering channel, when you say it's the gap property, the gap for what? I'm not sure. I don't like the header on small sizes when, oh no, that's a different one. Grid is, I don't like header on small sizes when links stack. It gets too thick. I'd rather prefer it if it's stuck on the top. I see a few people asking about, or not sure. So customizable select, where does this have a link to anything that I can show? Because when was this one done? Okay, Google for Developers blog, you need to have dates on your stupid articles. There's no date on here for real? This is the old way, I think. Whatever, it's fully like customizable. This won't work. Yeah, it's not working. But fully customizable selects with, this isn't even like the cool one. I thought they would have shown the really cool stuff here. Select and select option. I haven't looked into this at all. So maybe this is Sun. Oh, this is up to date. Okay, I have looked enough times. Selected option, option before, option, your picker, select. Oh my God, I knew there was a lot of stuff coming. This is gonna be one of those like insanely complicated ones, but picker select. Appearance base select. So we're opting in. Okay, this one is up to date then. I wish there was a date on here to know, because when I see requests for feedback on customizable select, this is Canary version 130. This would be time for another video. I'm not going to do it today. It's too late on a Friday afternoon. I wish they had the cool demos though. There's so much crazy stuff you can do with them. I would definitely play around with it, and I'll give feedback on it if they're still looking for it. I don't even know. I missed it now. I was just scanning the chat really fast and I saw someone saying something with Tailwind. I'd really like to know how this stuff is. Like, this is the problem I find with Tailwind too, especially as CSS is getting more complicated. Like, how is it going to integrate things like scope? How is it going to integrate things like this? Just like check all these new pseudo elements that are coming to make this possible. We're getting carousel stuff now that has more things, more pseudo elements in other parts. And like, I don't know. I'm curious how it's going to work. Ooh, nerdy Justivo linking over here to Adam Argyle's thing. Adam's new nerdy notebook is great. I'll put this link in the chat over on YouTube as well. Yeah, Adam. So this is Canary. Let's see what Adam got up to with the select here. The CSS, and this one's not that fancy, but maybe what's it look like here? It's the same. So I'm not getting the new one then. This is in Canary though, but I might have to have a flag on. I'm not sure. Yeah. Oh, that was kind of fun. Oh no. I thought I saw something. That was just his selector thing there. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And picker select. It was Adam who was telling me like your video on this is going to be intense because there's so many pieces to it. It's interesting that the picker is a function. I'm going to have to, and then we have a picker icon. There's going to be a lot to break down with this, especially when it starts coming to like actually doing good stuff with it. But I'm happy we're getting it. Oh, here, he also has the, no, not the accordion. I'm sure he has, just because I mentioned it. Because when I heard that Chrome was working on carousel stuff, I was like, really, is that what we need? But then he showed me some of the things he was building with it. And I'm like, okay, I can get behind some of these. I thought he had it in here. Gradient. Okay, text box, select, scroll driven animation, repeating text gradient, popover, open props. No, no, no. Gradient, no. Animated, no. Gradient border, no. SV, no. Focus, highlight, dialog, custom scroll bar, count up, comparison slider. It's none of these things. I was sure that it was one of these that he shared with me, but I guess not. Is it the slide? Oh, no, it's not that one. This is one of those slider things here. Oh well. There's nothing. Zup Zup, you're in Halifax as well. I'm not in. Look, I'm getting the. Is there? Oh, I don't know. This this feels like it's working, but I'm in regular Chrome, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to dive into them now. We're getting way off track. Johnny Nielsen, you stopped watching a video on custom selects when you saw I was live. Cool. I'm curious who did the video. I'm super hesitant to do any content on it yet, just because I'm waiting for like the fact that they're requesting for developer feedback still. Like this is not finalized at all. Chrome's making cool stuff, but releasing too fast. Warnings to update browser version used. I mean, they're updating things quick, not just for features too. A lot of it is security, which is why I think more often the updates are for that. They are pushing out things really quickly. This is the way that it should be done, where it's in Canary and going through the process there so people can use it and see if it's good, or behind a flag. And then once things are settled on, then it can keep making progress, which is more or less what they're doing. It used to be different. These days, when things are making their way through the CSS spec, if one of the browsers is behind it, they'll create a prototype of it to show what it actually works like in the browser. Because what happened previously is there was a lot of theory, and there still is, when the meetings go on. So people will be talking a lot about them, but it's very different when you actually start using them. So one of the browsers often does an implementation now, and Chrome often is the one who does it in Canary. And then what happens is if the feature is adopted, they already have it. So they're able to release it first. And then the other browsers have to start working on it, which is why we often see Chrome out in front with a lot of features. But it's happened with Safari as well. And we now have it where there's the 2 versions of Masonry. So I don't know if the Chrome one has been done yet, but Chrome's working on their own, like they're going to fully implement the alternative spec for Masonry, and Safari has it currently implemented, and then it's going to allow us to have both of them, because there's so much talk about it, to see which one should actually be picked and used as the official one. Oh, Kyle already put out a video on it. On the custom selects. He beat me to it. But yeah, I'm waiting on that now until things have been more finalized. Chrome has a date at the bottom of the article. Should be right at the top. I shouldn't have to go looking for it. Oh, last updated. Perfect. It is kind of old. Not that old, but for such a new feature, or for something that's constantly changing, I should say. Good to know that there is a date somewhere. I just think it should be right at the top for technical articles. Justivo using Tailwind as a Sass-like alternative in CSS files. and it feels great. I'm curious. I do know several people who use it to create the utilities that they do use in their projects. Data list was an intro. What did they change in data lists, Walton? Can you build a page that is responsive without media queries just by using modern CSS? What can't be achieved without media queries? I think you 100% you can. Sometimes it just gets more complicated, right? Yeah, so I think that like there's definitely ways of doing it. You can build more intrinsic layouts by doing it. It gets a little bit hacky sometimes because often you're going to be pushing it's easier to do it with Flexbox. Grid, you sort of need media queries for it. Well, it depends on the layout type. But where like wrapping can come in with Flexbox and you can actually get it to break where you want. So there's a lot at every layout is it .dev? It is. So if you want, this is lots of layouts. It is a paid product by Andy Bell and Hayden Pickering, but they do have some free. Where's the free ones? The free. So there's some free stuff in here. I don't remember which ones are free. Is it just, I'm not sure. But you can see the free ones. So here they're doing like a sidebar and main into a stacked layout. That's the only one there, but they have some cool stuff it's all media query free and you learn a lot. So it is a really good resource. I'll put that in the chat. And yes, HTML is responsive by default. Thank you, Mechanic World. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, Walton saying that you can use the data list instead of data list take the place of a select with some type head filtering. I'd have to look into that a bit. Ham's engineering channel. Yeah, I think it's amazing. So he's asking, what is your point of view regarding CSS new features introducing conditionals for choosing colors based on a condition? Yeah, I'm super, super excited for stuff like that. Like my favorite, let's see if I can find it. 1 second. CodePen. I did this, actually, the talk is free. Let me see if I can find the talk. I know I'm off screen. Smashing conf Kevin Powell, because I showed it here and sort of worked my way up. There it is. So if you want to watch the full talk on why container queries are the best, it's near the end where I talk a little bit about style queries in that one, but I'll show you the demo that I did. I'll use this one here. Style queries are one of the things I'm most excited about when it comes to CSS. Let me just fork this because I need this demo for something else. Okay, so this is really cool. So this is the same one we just looked at earlier for people who were here. So say I have an overflow grid. We're going to do grid, oh no, here, the grid auto flow of column and a grid auto row 40%, which means that we get like side scrolling for stuff, which is fine. That's great. The problem that we can run into here is say I come like this and it goes to 2 columns, which I'm doing with a split class, split here. So when my media gets bigger than a certain size, I go to 2 columns. Here, I think this looks fine. Here, it looks kind of crappy. I actually wanted to overflow the other way. And you could do this with a modifier class, but the problem, like say I did this with a modifier class. I say this is my overflow grid vertical. I always mix up vertical and horizontal. Then I could do a grid auto flow of row, and I could say that I have a max block size, which is like height, of say 40 VB, which is like VH. And then on this one here, which is this overflow grid, I do my overflow grid vertical. And it didn't work. Why not? I might have misspelled something, or I made a typo somewhere. Let's see. Overflow. Oh, I know why. I know why. Because the cascade. If you're doing modifier classes, they come after the original class. There we go. My card layout is also broken. Oh, the auto columns. Grid auto columns are going to be 100%. There we go. Okay, so we go from, now I like this. I like having this one here, but I don't like it when I'm here because now it looks like crap again, and I actually want it to go this way. And then it's like, okay, do I have to just like match my media query? That's kind of annoying to have to like, okay, I have my 960 there, then I can build that back end over here. Or the better way to do it is use a style query. So this is not the right one. So we're going to do a, yeah, we could actually use this one. Perfect. I didn't think it was going to be well set up. So I have the same things basically set up here, where I can say that if a container has a style of overflow grid direction row, I can turn on those same styles. And I guess we also need the grid auto columns of 100% there just to get away from that 40. So I could just come then on the split class, and I could say that in the split class, I have my, what did I call it? Grid overflow direction of row. And I could put that here, and it's going to switch the behavior of this one. Hopefully it's not working because, why is it not working? I need a semicolon at the end. There we go. No, that didn't work. Row. Oh, the row is the default. Do I want row? 1 second. Max, that's okay. Oh, I also, grid autoflow. It did work. Grid autoflow has to go to row. That would make sense. So then they switch. And now I have the same exact thing as I had before, which sucks. But the nice thing with this is, in my split, I can put that here inside the media query instead. And so at this screen size, it goes this way. And then when it goes to 2 columns, it goes the other way. And that's awesome. And you can do a lot more than that. We can completely change the layout. So the other example, and I don't think I have the code in here, and I'm probably not ready to write it. It's not complicated, but basically like I can change the layout of my card as well and have like an alternative layout. And then instead of having to have a modifier class, you just have this that becomes your modifier. But because you can change custom properties in container queries and in media queries and other stuff, it just becomes like so much more robust. And of course you can do this for colors and other stuff. I don't know if this is actually what you were asking about, because you mentioned conditionals for things like based on colors on it. Well, this is sort of like that, because you could change the colors based on the condition with a style query. Style queries will also eventually be able to have like background is black. So then you could change the styles here based on that background color. This does not work yet. The only thing, and it won't work in Firefox. None of this is supported by Firefox yet. But yeah, right now you can only do it with a custom property, which is fine though. This I think is super good. We're also getting some things for conditions for like automatic contrast, but that's been in the works for so long and nobody can agree on what the algorithm to use for the contrast seems to be. What's about the performance when using CSS filters? It's causing issues for mobile devices. How do we work with that? I'd say it's whenever you start running into performance issues from effects, it's very context dependent. So it's hard to answer with like, it really depends. It could just be don't use the filter at smaller screen sizes is one of the solutions. Is it something that, especially if it's moving stuff, just don't have the movement of it. Yeah, so like there's things to watch out for that, but I'd say it's very like there's performance related stuff you can also do with like can or will change and other stuff, but you also there's always drawbacks to some of these things because you're putting more load on the browser at the beginning, and it really depends on the situation. What would be the way of doing so? The masonry, I've gone back and forth. I'm leaning more towards the grid implementation currently, but I've also been convinced that, yeah, basically every time either Jen Simmons or Rachel Andrew talk about it, they change my mind. So I'm just waiting now to see where it goes. I think the main thing with masonry layout is 50% of people will be unhappy with whatever's chosen is where we're at this point, I think. But I do think it's also good that they're spending this much time worrying about it. And I do think the point that Rachel and Drew brought up about before we even worry about masonry, we should figure out tab ordering is a really good one, because there's a proposal in right now that if you could change the way tab ordering works with CSS to have it be visual, in like, so if you change the order of stuff on the screen, that you could set a CSS property that would change tab ordering to follow the visual flow of it rather than whatever the order is. And with things like masonry, where we cannot control the order that elements are going to be in, it becomes even more important. So if all of a sudden we put in masonry, but then from, you know, that it could have major keyboard navigation issues that come along with it, and then you might not end up using it, that having something else in place first would probably be a good idea. I don't know what's happening with that either, though. I should probably be following that issue a bit more closely. And as far, there was a question there, you could do a container style, you know, background color black, and then it would look for, you know, if you had my element had a background color black, it would definitely work. Yeah. So like this would trigger that to come in. So you could definitely work around it quite easily with things if that's sort of the direction you're going in, for sure. Do I use a CSS framework or stick to native approach? I generally stick to my own. I doubt that learning curve or developer preferences have an impact. I don't know. I just find there's more and more that's capable in just with CSS, and it's better to just focus on that. Because as it like, I don't know. I don't know how a lot of these things are going to get properly implemented into. They will. People are smart that create these frameworks, but I don't know. It's also, I'm biased. Like, I teach this, so I stick with the native stuff as much as possible. But yes, style queries. When browser support is decent for these, it's going to change the game in how we author CSS. It's going to be a very big difference, I think, compared to what we have now. Okay, I'm going to close this, or I'll save this. I forked it. I'll save that in case anyone wants to poke around in it. And if you do want more on like some of this stuff, I know on container queries and that, the link that I put to my talk from Smashing would be a good place to go to. Cool. Thoughts on what I should do with this link at the top, I would appreciate, because right now, I guess it doesn't bother me having this here because it's a way to get back to the home. I have a home link here. Maybe I don't need it. I don't have a logo, but I just find, like, especially here, having it twice is very redundant. That's my site title. It's just a link here. And then here it's my H1. And then if I go into the pages, oh, one sec. Oh, okay, never mind. That's okay. I clicked on something and I thought that I changed my view and you couldn't see my screen, but we're okay. Yeah, I think all of this is okay. I feel like I need something like fun, but I can't come up with any ideas right now. I'm having so much fun with linear easing curves but I don't know what I can do on this site to like implement one. I'm trying to think of anything, but it's such like a boring, straightforward site that I can't think of any like good ways of implementing something that would be more fun with. I mean, you could put Easter eggy stuff in, but like, I don't know if I like this border on here actually. The more I think of it, it really stands out, but it's not the end of the world. The chat is so quiet. And I might actually just end up finishing this off soon. I'm happy with where this is right now. I'm curious if I can think of anything else that I should be doing on it while I'm here. But if anybody does have suggestions, I'm definitely open to them. I want to get icons eventually. I mentioned that earlier, but I'm not going to do that today. Put a border Oh, I could do that. That's not a bad idea. Or maybe, yeah, we'll do that. Let's come to here. I have the border. Where's the border? It's not on that one. The border is all the way at the bottom of this file. On my intro, the name of this is now terrible because it's more like my footer than my intro. The border here, I'm going to keep the name intro for now just because I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream that I name things and I work on these personal projects that change a lot when I'm designing in the browser, and that the naming of stuff or just how I write my CSS always comes back to bite me. Border is here. So this is going to be my var intro border, comma, no, not that. Var color, no, not color, it's just accent, right? Yeah. There we go. Except I don't want it to be accent. We're actually going to put the surface, one of the surface colors on here, probably surface 3. Yeah, we'll do surface 3 on that. So we actually have a border that's on there. That already, I like it better already just because it stands out less. But then what we can do is and hover and focus within and say that the intro border becomes my var accent. So somebody was asking recently about if I put fallbacks for things. So this is the type of thing I love having fallbacks for. So now if I hover on top, or if I'm keyboard navigating and I tab to it, when I'm focused, oh, this dark colors, no, I changed the dark color and now it's killing the text there. But now when the focus is coming in on these, then the color also will change, and we probably want to transition on that. Transition 250 milliseconds on my border color. Does anyone know for performance, like if I say that the specific thing or not, if it makes a big difference? There we go. Nice little, it makes it look like it's like glowing and a bit more glowy, I guess, is the main thing there. Yeah, I figured most people were lurking. A few people saying that now. So I mean, that's the problem with streaming, right? Sometimes I'm looking at the chat and keeping up with it, and other times I'm doing things and then people are talking and I'm not looking at them. The colors, they're color blue 2 and stuff like that. I don't know if this project's the best example. So yeah, let me open up a better one. I'm just trying to think. I had one opened recently. Let me open a new VS Code window. Open recent. Oh, this one. This is a great example. I knew I was thinking of it. This is something I'm doing for front-end masters, but we can take a look at it. I tend to do this, where I have like my colors listed out this way, where they're numbered, and then I'll take those and map them to things like text and surface and border colors, just to create that separation there. And this is like a very simple version of that. But yeah, a little bit of a separation between the two of them instead of having, so that way I can, my pink probably won't change, but I can change where I'm using my pink and stuff like that. Or like, you know, my text might change from the neutral 100 to my neutral 200. Or if I'm doing a full theme change, then all of these ones can change without these ones changing. So you have sort of the two levels of custom properties. It's design system token styling type stuff right there. The YouTube chat, I started talking and then a lot of people, people just watching in awe, yeah. Some micro interactions with the buttons. Yeah, I just don't have a lot of buttons, right? I just have like the hover here and this one button here, basically. I guess I could do stuff up at the top. Do I work as a developer? No, I am now Malone. I'm a full-time content creator at this point. Should ADA compliance styling be done as a last step in development of a site, or are you doing it during? Yeah, I think it should be, if you're doing it as a last step, it's just building in technical debt. Whereas if you are trying to make sure things are compliant from the beginning, then they'll be compliant for the entire thing. So I do think it should be from the very beginning, because if not, it becomes technical debt, and then people just come up with excuses not to actually implement it. Add an alternative color theme mode, dark, light, and then based on the current time of day. That could be kind of interesting. Maybe, was it Dave Rupert's blog? He just, well, it was like a month ago or maybe even longer now, but he said that he'd set it so like he had the hue of the site shifting by 1 degree every day or something like that. So if you kept going back to it, it always looked the same, or you wouldn't notice that it was changing. But then after... Oh, thank you, Sean. I'm on a live right now. Mm-hmm. 1 second. Sorry, my son just got home, and I think he's about to make an appearance. We'll see. Turn the header sticky and get rid of the title. I could I could have both things sticky, actually. I don't know about sticky headers. I still haven't. Okay, we're gonna do a sticky header. It'll be a fun way to end the stream off, because for the stream, let's do it all the way at the top. We're gonna say things all the way at the top are just to like delete later, like demo reasons. Min block size 1000 VB, just because I don't have a lot of scrolling happening right now. Oh, I probably have another one somewhere. Okay, important. There we go. Oh, that just broke my site. Align content start. No. Align items. Whoops, no. Aha, okay. So yeah, we could, I'm gonna have to change magic number a little bit of stuff here. So, okay, this could be kind of fun. If we do, where's my header? I think my header is its own thing, right? Yep. So this, we could say that it's position sticky top 0. Would just do this. I know this is overlapping. We'll fix that in a minute. But what we could actually do here is the top is going to be -3. I knew we'd make an appearance. Hopefully you did not see what he was doing. So if we do a -3 LH, alrighty, come on. It's kids or something. When we go to scroll down, it's sticking, but it's sticking off screen. You might be saying, well, why would you want to do that? So now what we can do is I can say at keyframes, we'll call it sticky. We can do a 2, or 50% will be, yeah, no, let's do 0%. We'll start here. 100% top 0, just to get this working. And then I can say that the animation is sticky and both, so it stays stuck. And then animation timeline is scroll. And if it's working, aha, look at that, it appears. Now it's way too low, but at least it's working. I should probably look at the chat from what was happening when my kid was there. If we Yeah, so that's working, and it sort of it has it slide in, which is kind of cool with the scrolling. But then animation range should happen at like the animation range. If I just do 0 and then like 20 VH, I forget how this works. No, the other way. Oh, wait, 120 VH. Nope. Oh, wait, maybe. Let's see. And then maybe it was 20. I always forget how animation range works. 2040. The problem is no, I don't want this in viewport units anyway. 200 pixels, 400 pixels. Why is it still happening all the way down here? I always forget how the animation range works. Or maybe I want that here. 200 pixels. And that's just breaking it completely. I always forget how this works. I haven't done it in so long. Oh, I have a typo. Where's my typo? Undo, undo, undo. What was my typo? Or maybe I already fixed the typo. The live, can you post this? This will be pushed to, the live site is currently here, though. Everyone's saying typo, and I don't know what the typo is on. On the animation range? Oh, thank you. I still feel like it's not working, though. What did I have before? Oh, okay. The reason I didn't see it is because despite the typo, it was the same. Oh, no, it wasn't even the same. I don't know why I didn't see it then. How did I do? I have to go watch my old video now to remember how I could set this up properly. Because I got, oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. That was it, 200 to like 400. So now we'll scroll 200 pixels down, and then it will start coming back in. And then it will take so it starts when I'm at 200 pixels and it ends when I'm at 400 pixels. Maybe I'll make that a little bit longer. So it slides off and then it comes in. Okay, cool. Now that does mean this, let's go to this thing, because that thing does need to stick at a different place. Because it's not my .intro. Sticky. Home layout. Oh, I did it like that, right. This is where, as I said, things get kind of funky. So that was, I don't know how, let's just try 5 line height and see if that is far enough. That's too far. That's not terrible. It's probably too far. 3. Oh, yeah, it won't scroll. It's only scrolling off because it's getting to where this is. I could be using pixels too. There's no reason really to use line heights here. Whoops. Oh no. I did the zoom in thing, but I don't know how I did. Is it this? Okay. I have a zoom it on my computer so I can zoom in, and I forgot what the shortcut was. That's not too bad. It won't, as I said, it won't scroll off, so I don't have to worry about them overlapping either. So that would go in like that, and then we'd be okay. So that's definitely an option. Let's just see how it looks if I'm on an article. If you scroll really fast, it's kind of weird. Now, the other thing I was thinking of is when it comes back in, we can do more than just this. So let's go back to the header. So I'm going to say here, I want to change more about it. So we can change the background. You can change anything you want when you do this, basically. We are getting a better way to do this. We're getting the stuck pseudo class, or anyway, there's a way of detecting stuck that's on its way. So there'll actually be a way that you could change styling in a little bit of an easier way. But yeah, I need to, it's not ready for production yet. So this actually does. Position sticky effect in scrolling, I think. Yeah, the position sticky is coming in because this one's position sticky and this one's position sticky, and one of them's lower down, so it's overlapping. But it would never ever. Okay, we'll make it safe. Header can get a Z index here, and now it's always going to be on top. But what I'm thinking of, what if when, okay, I'm thinking that we get this name to actually disappear. Or this is so this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So what we can do is, okay, header, if I look at my header, we have that, and then I have the nav that has stuff in there. So if I said header A, color, or it won't be color, let's just say font size 1 rem, just to, or no, that background, we'll do a background. Oh no, this is on there already. Background red. Yeah, so I was gonna do an opacity of 0 on it, but an opacity would be a bad thing to do because then you could still tab to it. That's the only, because it is a link. The other thing is I could just take it out completely because it's kind of useless. But I'm wondering, let's just do something. Well, okay, we can even do display. Let's just say display is var header link display, comma, inline, I guess, because it's a link. It doesn't really matter what I choose there as the default. But then here I could say at, let's just try 50%. header link display can go to none. And then this one would stay there. So I think now when it's stuck, when it comes back in, there we go, we don't have it. So this is what I find cool about this technique is like, I don't want a different animation on the link. So I can just put anything that's a child of the header to have custom properties set to it. And then within the animation, you can just change those custom properties and you can completely change the styling of anything that's inside of the header as well. So it's kind of neat that you can do stuff like that. I don't know from an accessibility point of view if that's a good idea. Like if I'm selected on there and then I scroll and it goes to display none, I don't know what just happened. So I don't know if this is the greatest idea in the world. But then we could also come in, background would be my var header bg or surface because I'm using surface everywhere, comma, and then this would just be my default value. So it should look the same, but then here I could say that the header surface is transparent. I guess I could do, would this work or cause problems? Just so I don't have to repeat myself, I'm not sure. We'll find out. By having two 100% keyframes, oh, it does work, cool. Because like this is the parts that sort of matter. And again, this should never happen where they actually overlap. I might do something to prevent it from being weird. But that, let's even, you know what, we're gonna make it so it would, this is how it would normally work anyway. This would actually, we're gonna keep that, we're gonna take this off. We're gonna say dot intro margin block end 1000 viewport height. So now, oh, that's gonna break it because it won't stick. Let's just do main. There we go. Oh no, it's still doing that? Oh, that padding. So now if I scroll, it's still sticking to the bottom. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter too much because again, we won't ever have too much. I could just go to an article. Oh, but in an article, it's not there. So you see here, this is a problem though, because it's coming in here. I probably want to style it a bit differently, but it's kind of a cool idea. I think that like you don't need the name of the site there. You just like the couple of links that are just coming in that space. Wides. Oh, I just moved that off, and now you probably can't see it. I was like, if I move this out wider and make my screen wider, it's fine. So if I move it this way, like you're okay. But obviously at narrower screen sizes, when you start getting the overlap, there's a bit of a problem. So I guess it does need a background color on there still. But I sort of like that it's just like the features that you care about that are coming in. I'd have to play with this on mobile too and see what the experience is like, but we could do the blurry effect. Let's add the blur. Josh Como has a good article. Josh Como blur on doing nice blurs instead of just the normal one that we do. Why am I getting this in a light mode? That's weird. Okay. What does he do to make his blur better? Blur hue. That's for rotating hues. He does so he has that sepia and then the blur. Frosted glass. The issue. Backdrop filter algorithm only considers the pixels that are directly behind the element. For filters like brightness or hue rotate, that makes perfect sense. With a blur though, we actually want to consider pixels that are near the element too, because there's like the depth that should technically be there. This is one of those things where it's words, a demo's worth 1,000 words. That's the default. And yeah, so see like there, like you see the color coming in first, which is what you'd expect to happen, versus when it works like that. Because then when it comes in, it like spreads so fast, it's kind of weird. So how does he do it? If it's too much, by default, the Gaussian blur algorithm is applied to all of the pixels behind the element. This means that if a big colorful element is near it, won't have the effect. That's not nearly how frosted glass works. I just realized I should put this link in the chat. I see someone redeeming a stretch. Thank you. Light bounces off objects then goes through. Unfortunately, this isn't something we can configure directly. We need to be a bit crafty. So he does the backdrop. Oh, he's also using a mask image backdrop. Header, the backdrop. Why does the mask image work? It looks complicated. Oh, it's bigger. The element is bigger than what we see. I can take this off, can't I? In his code. Can I not edit? I thought I could edit stuff in here. Oh, I can. There we go. Oh no, that didn't do what I thought it would. I thought if we took this off, that the element would get bigger. That's doing what I thought. There's something at play here. So first is the blur. Oh, it is. Yeah, you make the thing bigger. I don't know why it wasn't showing that in that other demo. You make the thing bigger and then use a mask to hide the part of it, but then the blur is actually moving up into that area. And he's doing it, hide any descendants that extend beyond the edge of the header with the overflow of hidden. What you see here depends on your browser. Firefox and Safari, this works great. Sadly, Chrome, it doesn't work on Chrome. There's no soft red glow. Oh, and this version, yeah. We had it though, so obviously he has, oh, instead of using the overflow of hidden, he's using the mask instead, because the mask will work in Chrome. Does that mean I need a height on the parent though? Because he's putting a height here of 200%. Why fit? We set the height to 200 so that the backdrop will always be twice as tall as the container. Yes, I get that. Okay, let's try. Oh, we can't select that text, so then he turns off the pointer events. Perfect. And then here's an example. So as the thing is getting close, the blurriness starts leaking through a little bit ahead of time. Okay, cool. So we're going to leave that on screen. Let's just move it down a little bit so I can look at that at the same time as what we're doing. It's a cool effect. So you know, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. I don't know what the performance of it is, and we'll see on mobile and stuff. But so there it is, and we're barely going to see this at the beginning, but that's okay. So here, I don't know. I only want this to kick in when we have the scrolling happening too, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So let's see if we can recreate this properly though. For now too, I'm gonna do one more thing. Where's my keyframes? Keyframes. Oh, I did it here. Okay. So what we'll do is here, let's also just add a margin left of like 400 pixels. That's not going to do anything. Width 50%. Okay, there we go. I just wanted it to be on top here so we can see if it's working properly. So that's going to be fine. The problem, actually, we have one problem. If we're going to do this, is we need an extra element in here to make it work. So we need our dot backdrop. Backdrop, like that. Now, that shouldn't, oh, that does change this. So here I could say dot backdrop A. Header A, this would be dot backdrop A. Changes a little bit of how I would do this. The nav, I don't know why we completely broke that though. Oh, because my flex should be on the backdrop now. We can just do this as dot backdrop. Oh wait, no, undo. We'll just, for now, drop display flex, justify content, space between back drop, and width 100% because it's a flex item. We have some gaps and other stuff that would have to be fixed. We'll worry about that in a minute. That's still coming to here. So let's just see if we can get this to work, and then I can tweak it probably next week. Next time I do a live stream, we'll have to somewhere to leave off on. So backdrop is position absolute. So that means we're gonna do this the really rough way to see if we can get it working. So this would be a position relative. This gets, oh no, 1 second. I might be thinking of this wrong. One second. I think I'm going to change this. My backdrop is just going to be here. And then that makes this make more sense too. That was my header A. It should fix a lot of my styling problems that we'd run into. This looks okay now. The backdrop doesn't need any of this on it. The only thing is this one, header. This was my, like that. Okay, there we go. We're back to here. Because we're using position absolute, let's see, position absolute, inset of 0, height of 200%, and let's just give it a background for now. Background red, and width 100%. I don't know. Okay, the width is 100%. That's because I mucked around with my size here, right? I did a width 50%. Okay. Oh yeah, the inset 0. We're okay. So that's actually good. Oh, is it though? We're gonna see. Okay, we're gonna play around with this a bit. The width here might get changed to a fit content. And then margin left of auto eventually. Okay, so this is what we will use in the end, but for now I'm going to do the width 50% just to make sure this is working properly. Then if this is my backdrop, the height is 200%, we probably have that problem where we can't click on stuff that we should be able to click on, like he says in his article. So we want a pointer events of none. So now I can click through that element and it won't cause any problems. Then we want the backdrop filter. I'll just steal his. Whoa, that did something that... There it is. Okay, cool, it's working. We have a backdrop filter. Now the problem is it's in front of my text. So I'm also gonna do an isolation of isolate here. And then I'm gonna do a Z index of -1 here, which we'll keep with my position. And then my text will be in front because the -1 pulls it back. But the isolation, looks like I don't need it necessarily, but it just means the -1, it can't escape outside the header. So the -1 is only within the header and it can't go behind other elements. Cool. And then we want this mask, which you shouldn't copy paste if you're learning stuff, but I understand what the mask is doing. So we can get that sort of thing going on. Which makes me think, do I even need a background color on it here? Or is it okay if it just like slides back down into place? So technically it should, yeah. So you can see like the color of the green is already starting. I don't know if it's super clear on the stream. But like as we're getting close to that element, the green is coming through before the element is underneath it. And that was always something that bugged me about how it worked. So that's cool. I read the article a while ago quickly, but I never implemented it. It's actually, it's a really clever and simple solution, which is nice. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. So now let's change this. And I'm putting all this in and it's like barely there because we just see it like right here. Oh, see, it's too wide though. Width 50% off. There we go. So I don't know if I should, it's kind of weird. There's a hard edge in it. Because so now if we had this on a smaller screen, so there's like a hard edge. If I'm scrolling down, like it's kind of weird it's cutting here. So I don't know if a border radius on that. I don't know if I should do this differently. On mobile, it would actually make sense just to have it stretch. But like at these larger sizes, like if it's over here, I don't know what the best thing to do with it is. So if anybody has any thoughts, I will definitely take them. Because I like the idea of it, you scroll down and then it slides in. I think that works well. This part of it looks kind of funky to me. The other thing I could do to make this look a little bit better at larger screen sizes, and it would have to be improved on for other ones, would be we could also come in then with a border radius of 100 VW, 0, 0, 100 VW, maybe? Oh no, that wouldn't be here. That would be on this guy, the backdrop. I did that wrong. 100, 0, 0, 100. That should work, no? Oh, that won't work because the other 100 is off there. Oh no, that will not work. I'd have to use a clip path if I was going to do it that way. I wonder if we could use a clip path instead of the mask as well. My idea was I could round it off here and I could actually move, I could make the whole thing into a pill potentially. And I think it would look a little bit better. Let it be 100% width. We could do that as well. Let's take these off and see. I guess that's not like terrible. It probably makes more sense and the effect looks nicer when it's going the whole way across. Anyway. It is actually getting a weird blurriness to it now, I think, too. I'm not 100% sure. You're going to have to pick my mind on how to stream on an ultra-wide. I could give a... Basically, I just have OBS that's looking at one small region of my screen is the main thing I'm doing. So I have, yeah, OBS is set to like a 1080 by 1920 by 1080 area or size, and then I just keep my windows there that I want to show on screen. A native CSS function to namespace styles for multi-SPA. I'd say scope would be the right one, yeah, like B1 said. I think that's probably what you're looking for. Probably. How would you handle Lighthouse wanting styles applied inline for performance to reduce first content full paint? If you have everything in a style sheet, you would minify when... there is... I put this on my own page and I haven't used it in a long time. There's some... what's it called? There's things you can use that will extract that for you and do that like automatically so you don't have to. I would suggest doing that and not manually doing it. But I don't remember what it's called. If anybody in the chat knows what it is, where it will I don't know if it's, I wish I could remember the name of it. It is extract like the above the fold CSS for you and inline it. There's another trick too, but I don't remember what it is or why you'd want to do it for something to speed things up. But my favorite movie, see if you can guess based on my shirt. It's probably kind of small. 1 second. I'm sure some people will recognize it. So if you can recognize that, then you know what my favorite movie is. Maybe replace it with icons and make it yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. I do want to replace them with icons, so that will be in a future stream of replacing them with icons. So maybe just having it as like, actually that'd be kind of interesting, is instead of it sliding down, it then slid out from the side. Would be definitely very possible to do that as well. We could do that. I'll try that in a second. What if you use color blend to change the text color based on what's behind it? It'd be one that is a bit of a hot take. They're not terrible, but they're, I don't know. I don't like them as much. I did enjoy them, but I didn't like them as much. What if you change the color of the text based on what's behind? I think that would get really distracting if the color of the text kept changing. You could do like the invert, right? I'm going to try that one thing where we did the width of fit content and we do a margin inline of auto. Should work. And just having it centered. This I don't actually mind as like a little thing. I think if they were icons and smaller, or maybe even if we could, would this work? Font size var font size 300. I didn't set up font sizes, did I? I don't think so. 1 rem. So like we can do that too. Like here it's here, and then the font sizes are smaller, so it's a little bit less annoying. This would definitely look better with icons, and I think it would look much better with rounded corners, which I don't know how to do with the mask. There's probably a way I could use my mask to pull that off. But yeah, let's just put it back this way. The nice thing with it, I'm going to stick with it like this for now because it's easier for me to implement it. But I don't mind it centered either. I think down the side could actually look decent as well. Marco, yeah, actually, I don't know if Return of the Jedi is my favorite. I was just alluding to Star Wars. Return of the Jedi as a kid was definitely my favorite. Now I'm not sure. When I was growing up, like definitely, and that's one of the things. Like I know a lot of people don't like the Ewoks and stuff, even in Return of the Jedi. But I'm like, as a kid, that was like the whole forest thing and like everything there was great, and that's why I'm like with Episode 1. There's a lot of like more kid-friendly stuff in there that I can't be like, oh, that's bad, because that's what made me like it. So. I don't want to be gatekeepery like that either. A general rule when using container versus flex, and what's overly used CSS property should be deprecated. When you say container versus flex, I don't know if you mean grid versus flex. Grid versus flex, I would say. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. The Twitch chat has come in with critical, yeah, it's critical CSS. Look that up on npm, and you should find something that will do that inlining of CSS. The above the critical CSS, it inlines it for you. You do want to test it a lot though. I broke some stuff with it at one point. Okay, let's bring in the block on the side, and then I'm going to end the stream there. But I'll keep taking some questions while I'm doing this. Hey there, Donnie. How's it going? Okay, so let's change. It definitely would look much better with icons, especially with this being kind of big. It's going to look clunky with how I'm going to do this, but that's okay. We'll eventually get the icons in there, and then it would be much better. I might even change this from a select menu. I'm not sure. But for now, let's say, so we're gonna have, this is display flex. So then here we'd have our flex direction. We don't need to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Var header flex direction, just to be really explicit. And the default is column, right? No, row. Row. Oh no, I have the different things set up in there. That's okay. Oh, that's actually, this is gonna work with the custom property better. Fantastic. So then here I can change my header flex direction to column. That it's completely breaking things. We'll figure that out. So at the top it should be okay. Then it goes out, it comes in, and it's busted. We'll figure out why this is all the way out here. But the other thing we're going to do is my nav. My nav is lower down. My nav can do the same thing. Flex direction is my var header flex direction, with the default being the row, which we don't need, but I like having the fallback there anyway. So then when we're here, it's there. Then it's going to slide out, and when it slides back in, it gets a little, okay, I know. The problem now is because it's taller. We're going to have to play with this a little bit. Because what's happening is it's getting to here, and then it's there, right? Here when it switches, I could just do this at a higher number, 20%, maybe. No, I think it's getting too tall, so it's showing up because I only have the negative. I do want this to be at 50 too, I think. So here, this negative is going to have to be a lot more. Unless instead of if I did a top 0, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Top 0, translate 0, negative 100%. We'll just never see it, right? And then here, this becomes a translate of 0, 0. And then it will slide in. 120%? Why is I think it's weird that the scroll up and it's really janky too as it's doing this scrolling right now. Okay, let's see if we can fix the width of it, and then I'll come back to the animation of it. So my width will switch. Did I have something for width? No, I think we can just say here the width is now going to be fit content, and then margin left of 100%, of 100% of auto. Thank you. Auto. Put it onto that side. It's still like a round corner on there, which is going to be problematic. It's so weird how when I scroll down and up, like this middle part is super janky right now, and I don't know. See, I feel like there's like pieces fighting each other. Okay, I think I'm going to take these actually. These ones. Actually, I'm just looking at, let's just put this at 0. The whole time the animation is happening. But the animation's already, so I mean that fixes the jankiness of it. We can see it's really smooth now. The problem is it's starting, we can't have it start here, and I can't do, oh wait, if I did negative 200 pixels? Does this work for the animation range? Or is it the other way? Wait, this was at, forget what I had, 400 pixels. Nope. Now it's just appearing, it's too fast, or I broke it. I think there's a way to make it so it only starts the animation like once I'm scrolled down a bit, but I'm not sure what it is. So it looks like, oops, this should be pixels. Oh, now I broke everything? Fantastic. Let's do a few undos here to see what I did. Undo, undo, undo. That's where I was. And it was working at this point, but now it's no longer working. Undo, 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 undo. Oh, maybe. Let's go farther back. Okay, we're back. And now it's, oh. Of course, okay. Of course it's not there because we moved it off. That was really stupid. Okay, margin left of auto to push it to the other side. And then this can get the translate here. Oh no, the top does, I do need a top. I do need the top to be the negative one because that's how the stickiness is working. So I do need to do a top of, I had 3LH, I think, right? So it's moving off with it because it's sticking, and it's sticking just outside of the viewport, and then it's sliding back in. That, I think my numbers are actually better now, but here my translate then, I could just do this as a 3LH. I'd probably want to, it's still janky. And it's also sliding back up because of this. I can just take that off. I'm doing something wrong, but oh, there. Okay, 1 second. Refresh. I'm gonna look at the chat in a second here. It slides off. Yeah. Oh, it's also the font size is switching. There must be a way to get this animation to work. Donnie, I use the 9999 as just like my auto for if it's the top layer, that's my 9999. I use it much more sensibly for other things. I could move the menu on mobile. We could have the menu pop up on the bottom too. That is an option. I see someone saying it's good on mobile to have buttons at the bottom, which I do know what you mean because then you can get to it faster. People usually use JavaScript for this, so it only shows up on scroll. I know, but why do it with JavaScript if we can do it with CSS? I still think we lost what we had with flat. Nah, I agree. LH is line height. We need we need the buttons that wiggle after you click. Yeah, if you think, use the top layer. Can we just hoist something to the top layer? How do you, I've used top layer stuff, but for like what the things that come with it, are we able to control that? I don't do a lot of Z-indexy things, so I haven't ever run into the need. If you think you need a top 0 in the animation, I think, you know, I don't need the top 0 because I have, it's going out by 3 and then I'm just translating it back in. The problem that's happening right now is when it switches to, oh, okay, I know what I could do. This translate at 0%, I'm going to do a translate of 0, negative 100%. No, not at 0. What about it, like 20? There must be a way. I know I found a way to do this better, but let's just see if this works. It's just coming in from so far now. It's really fast, but there's not enough frames. So I could like drag the number out. But basically the problem that's happening now is it's sliding out this way, and then all of a sudden it's getting a lot taller when I switch the flex direction. So if I don't move it up more, when that happens, it just sticks out the bottom all of a sudden. Like you can see it even, it starts sliding in, but then it just switches directions. And so it becomes too tall. I think I'm using animation range wrong though. Let's go look up animation range. I thought I'd be done by now. Animation range CSS. Oh yeah, I can use the keywords too. I want the animation range to start equivalent to entry 0. Yeah, I want to use Animation range, because entry starts at the bottom. That's the problem right now with, I want it to start once it's out of the viewport, which is why I think, okay, 1 second. If I do an animation range here, of 100 VH, just give me a second, or we'll do VB, and then 100 and then we can do like a calc of 100 VB plus 300 pixels. Let's just see if this does anything of what I think it might do. So it should slide out and then it should kick in, which it's not doing. Oh, it is kicking in, but way farther down than I thought. Because am I thinking of the view one? And I'm mixing them up right now. Scroll, yeah, it's waiting for me to do 100 VB, which I don't want to do. So I want the animation. That's why I thought if I did 200 pixels here and then 600 pixels here, the animation would start here and then end right there. So maybe I had it right. Put the stuff that makes the menu big at 0. I can't put it at 0 though, because if it's at 0, it's the animations. If this is at 0, what? Oh no, there's nothing there. If I do stuff at 0 here, it means that's kicking in immediately. But that's what I wish the animation range, I think what it's doing is it's staying here. Let's just do something here. Let's say, let's just do a test. 0% background is red, so it'll be red. If I say this is at 10%, yeah, see, it's waiting until I get. So if I do it at, so what if I did 1% here? This feels kind of hacky, and I feel like there should be a better way to do it. But if I do it at 1%, as soon as the animation starts, and then the translate here, there's the problem. This should only be at 100%, that I do that. And should be a 3LH. And at 1%, we do this one. This feels really hacky, but let's see if it works. I mean, it's basically it. I just think it's a bit too fast now because of the numbers I'm using. So if I did 800 pixels instead, it's going to go off and then slide in. That's really annoying to have to start it at the 1%. I feel like it's a, oh no, I think we're okay. I don't know if I love this or not, but it's something. At least we're learning something along the way. But I feel like it's weird that we have to start at 1% when the animation is only starting after I've scrolled 200 pixels. Animation range isn't experimental. It's, you might say it's experimental in MDM, but it's not experimental. Animation range. It's not in Safari or Firefox, but it's okay. We can. I mean, I'm not too worried about that, but it's not experimental. It's in its final form, I believe, in terms of how it's. Oh, it even says experimental here, using caution. It's okay. We definitely want to make sure that we're not breaking it on other sites. But we actually, for what I have here, I could use the polyfill, and I wouldn't have any issues. The polyfill you have to be really careful with, but I'm not doing anything weird here, so I'm 90% sure the polyfill would work. I'm getting a few times where it seems just to like jank it though. I definitely have to play with it more. I think it's so cool we can do that with CSS though. Transform, translate, and just using translate are exactly, it's using the same thing. The animation range is just, it's only going to work if you're using scroll or view transitions. If you're using anything else, there's no point to them. Christopher's asking about polyfills. They're basically just, it's JavaScript that goes in and looks, and if the browser doesn't support it, it will use JavaScript to replicate the behavior. It's experimental in that it's not implemented everywhere, but I'm pretty sure the spec has been, I should look, I guess, before I say that, but. Toothless Old Man, if you want to share that in my Discord, it would be the easiest way to get it to me, or you can email me at that email address. Do I use different frameworks like React or anything? Not really. I'm using Astro for this, which I guess is framework use I get. I've used Svelte on a project as well. So it depends a little bit on what the needs of it are. I don't know if I love this. I do like, I don't know. I'm going to leave it for now. Let's see if the polyfill will get this to work. Because right now, or, I mean, there's two options, right? Because right now, if we're in Firefox, woo, it's working in Firefox. Interesting. The top is off though. It's not in the right spot, but it's working in Firefox. This is nightly. Is it working in regular Firefox? I didn't see anything there. Animation range. Is it in? Let's find out. Where is this regular Firefox? I think this is regular Firefox. Yeah, it's actually, I mean, you know what? This is regular, so it's coming in Firefox. That's good to know. It's in nightly. What if we go to the home page? I just want to see what it looked like here. It's not really the end of the world. It's kind of a weird looking thing that this is here. But it doesn't bother me that much, to be honest with you, in terms of like, is it completely broken or not? It almost makes me wonder if I should just make it like that all the time instead of what we have. Yeah, it doesn't bother me, the functionality that's currently, it's not such a different experience here. So I'm okay pushing this to production. That's the main thing, right? It's progressive enhancement, and it's working as a progressive enhancement. Now that I see it down the side, maybe I would just leave it down the side all the time, though. And I don't know about. I'm still figuring out. Like when it's down the side, would it make like right now the blurry effect is only. Let's just go to an article. The blurry effect is only. Like here where it is. No, I can't extend it out further than that. I don't know. I got some decisions to make on that one, but I don't mind it the way it works where we just don't have this menu. I think it's okay. This is coming before proper gradients. Actually, what's in the newest? I'm curious. I looked at it really fast. The Interop 2025. I looked at it and I went really fast. What's being included this year? Is it one of them? These are the features that they're looking to make sure. Oh, look, that's so interesting. Backdrop filter passes 94% of tests in Chrome, but it only passes 49% of them in Edge. Why would that be? That's really interesting. Core Web Vitals, Safari is a little behind on those. So anchor positioning is, I was surprised a little. In a way I was, in a way I wasn't, but this is a complicated thing. Details element is being fixed up. Layout issues. Modules, navigation API, that'd be really nice. That's good for view transitions, so that's going to be good. Pointer and mouse events. Mutation events, or remove mutation events at scope. Firefox is the one that's behind on scope. Scroll end event is being worked on. Text decoration. I wonder what the things on text decoration are. The view transitions as well are there. So no, scroll driven animations are not here. So they'll be worked on, but they're not going to be top priority. But at least there's a lot of good stuff in here. So I'm happy that there's things that are being, by the end of the year, all the browsers should be doing these without any major issues, which is good. Trying to understand why my animations do not work at all. I noticed the old developer set overflow hidden on the body. Why would someone do that? They probably had effects or other things that were causing overflow, and that was the easiest way to fix it instead of trying to actually solve the problem. That's often what happens. You'll see a lot of websites that have an overflow hidden on the body. I'm assuming only on one axis though, hopefully. Vladosik 111, thank you. I'm glad that my channel has helped you out. Yeah, I have to decide before I'm going to be pushing something to production. I have to decide which version of this it's actually going to be. This video is broken. That's really embarrassing. I sort of like having like a fun little menu pop in. So I think for now I'm actually going to push this version of it once the stream is done, but I don't think it's going to live forever. So the next time we do a stream, I want to change these to icons anyway, which is going to change the vibe of it a little bit. So we'll see what we do in the future from there, and maybe build in something that's a bit more compatible with other browsers. Though I do think like it's completely fine how it looks right now in Firefox, and it would be the same in Safari then. Also interesting that it is in nightly though, because like it's fine that it's just always on the side. The alignment of it is probably the thing that bugs me the most. Right, like it's kind of weird that everything is misaligned. That drives me nuts a little bit. If these were all nicely aligned, that would probably be completely fine, which makes me think like maybe I should just do that in the first place. But we'll see. We'll see what I decide there. That's enough on a Friday for now. That's enough for the moment. I'm just okay. My colors are the same. I thought maybe my colors were a bit different, but I think they're okay. It's Friday, so you remove the overflow hidden, and you'll see what happens on Monday. That's the right way to do it. It's time to ship to production, everybody. Friday afternoon. Mr. Magnetic, an ID has the highest specificity of any selector, as long as there's no important on there. One option you could have with the overflow hidden is replace it with an overflow of clip and see if that does things. There's some side effects to using overflow clip as well, so you do want to be careful with it. But it could be something that you look at doing. So yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out with me today. It was fun, and I haven't pushed anything now, but I'll be pushing it in soon-ish. I'm gonna go take a little break, and then we'll jump back on quickly to push things. So the updated version will be there if you want to poke around at it. I don't know if my GitHub, I can check really fast if the repo is public or not. And if it's not, I will make it public before I go live next time, which will not be in the short term. It's currently private. So I'll try and remember to make that public before I go live next time, just in case anyone wants to poke around in the code itself. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody on Twitch who's put up with the really janky stream. Hopefully it wasn't too bad when I was in the code. But even with the scroll animations, it might have looked kind of terrible. So hopefully it wasn't too bad. I'll hopefully have the jankiness and everything fixed, and the stream will work well everywhere next time. Fingers crossed anyway. And yeah, just seeing. Yeah, more importance, add importance to your importances would be fun. I hope some people learned a few things along the way as well. Justivo, you should have told me earlier. I hear the sound might have been a bit low. I could have boosted it during the stream. But yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out. It was a lot of fun, and I will be doing live streams at least once a month, and usually on Fridays when I'm sort of wrapping up my week. So, but this one was sort of unannounced-ish. I meant to talk about it earlier, but just keep an eye out. They will be happening once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks. We'll see how busy I am with everything. Oh yeah, and Mr. Magnetic, definitely. If anybody, my kids I'm gearing for it too, but we're getting so close to hitting 1 million subscribers. If anyone's watching and you're not subscribed on the YouTube channel yet, I would appreciate it very much if you did subscribe. hoping to hit that million this year. I think it'd be pretty cool. And then I can show off to my kids having the new plaque. So yeah, I think that'd be cool. I'm also, there's a YouTube channel that I follow in sim racing. It's a guy who's been doing his channel for 12 years now. And I think he has 1,000 more subs than I do right now. And we're basically growing at the same rate. And I'm really hoping to beat him to a million, even though he has no idea. It's sort of my own little race just to see, because I've been following him forever. So I think it's kind of cool. We're at like the same point there. So hoping to get there this year. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, for hanging out, and all of that. And I'll see you next time. Bye. And I say that, and then I don't have my scenes set up to actually go. Bye, everyone.